All right, I think we may have something here as it relates to that. For some reason, school is saying that the cloud space is full, so forgive me for the delay. The thing is that, we're trying to put the lecture on school for people who are not here. Right? So we're just trying to make sure that everybody's getting to have an opportunity to get to work right now. We finish going over these house rule maintenance here. Is the fact that obviously it's not really so much at our discretion where we have to, but it's not the thing for us to try to be doing all these extracurricular things just to try to make sure that the student has it. Because generally, supposed to get the information while you're in class, right? A lot of the things that we try to do, aside from that, is try to come up with something that, try to help the students along. But, you know, if I'm busy, right, after I leave here, I got stuff I need to be doing out here. So I may or may not be able to get you some of the information. It's your responsibility to figure out or get that information unless we have specifically said, hey, today you're gonna have class online, right? You're gonna have class online today, so don't worry about coming to the school or whatever. But anything additional outside of that, right? It's your responsibility to try to get that information. If I'm able to get online after class or whatever, I may try to post something from time to time. I tried to do that this week, but I was still having some technical difficulties, as you can still see, with not being able to log on because I'm not using my personal stuff. I'm using the school stuff because that's what they wanted to do. All right. So, sorry, y'all. It is cold in here. Y'all got to make sure y'all close it up. It wasn't that cold last week. All right. So, just make sure that you are, um, you know, being mindful of your time, being mindful of management, time management, etc., to make sure we get these things done. Corbett messed me up a little bit with what I was trying to say and or do, and I hate that to a degree because it kind of throws me off of what I'm trying to say and get these points across. Okay. All right, so obviously we got some people here, or some people who may be the lay person or whatever, who may decide, hey, Ms. Council, hey man, I had to work yesterday or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Some of these people may be fire related or whatever the case may be. Now, the fire department now, I generally know how those schedules work or whatever. And there's time where, you may have a department that's saying, you know, hey, we got some overtime, whatever the case may be. But a lot of times this overtime isn't mandatory, right? A lot of times this is volunteer overtime, okay? Although our department definitely at times can uh, require or request for us to work mandatory overtime, but it doesn't necessarily mean we have to do it, right? You have to you either sign up for it, you say, well, I can't do it because I got my kids or whatever the case may be, all right? They just want you to be a part of the team. So I know how the fire department schedule work, all right? So if somebody's telling me because I had to work overtime, whatever the case may be, hey, brother, it's all good. Get your overtime. You're still responsible for that work, though, okay? Still got to get to work, all right? So don't look for me to do anything additional to try to help you along, try to get to work, because you decide to work overtime, all right? I want to work some overtime too on my off time from here, okay? So just keep those things in mind that you're going to be responsible for a lot of the work, all right? Um, make sure I'm covering everything that I want to do before we get started here. Um, Later on, we'll also talk about maybe possibly picking the president, maybe an assistant, maybe a logistics person as well. All right, so we'll probably have that. Well, I don't think that thing's gonna make me upload. I'm having to download it right now to the computer because it says cloud is full.
Oh yeah, don't do cloud.
So just download to the computer.
Download to us then, because hit your bad.
Oh, yeah. What? Look at him.
Dylan,
Ooh, boy, that boy got hands. Man, that boy hands. Boy, I'm telling y'all know what y'all working with. dude.
Mr. Google.
Mr. Google, I ain't heard that.
You don't hear that.
Okay.
All right, so keep those things in mind while Corbett is passing that,
Andrews,
stuff out to you guys.
Andrews. Andrews is Wimble Farms? Just. All right, so who has everybody for sure
Pause that fucking back there, brother.
sent your packaging? Has any,
Does that make sense to what I'm saying thus far? All right, now, you guys have any issues or any questions about what it is that I'm saying? And Corbett, he elaborated on your APA and some of the things you gotta do now. Again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, all right, now I'll say guys just in general, but I know that ladies in this room as well will be in this room as I've been Simmons today, all right? Some of this stuff is new to y'all as it relates to APA. Mr. Watt said that, he's familiar with it. Mr. Tolbert, he may be seen some of this stuff before. The reason I'm saying some of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, is because I've experienced the same thing. A lot of this stuff I didn't know either, right? Like, man, what is APA? You know what I'm saying? What's this APA format stuff, whatever? And as the bachelor's graduate from Walden University, that's my first time doing this stuff, right? So I don't know. But it taught me some things, okay? Now, why am I saying all this here? I told you guys when I first came here, this council job, one of the jobs is not only for me to teach the class. One of my other jobs is to motivate you because y'all don't want to see all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to see all this APA stuff. You don't want to see all this stuff about doing this work. But I'm telling you, I am telling you once again that the reward on the other end is going to be well worth it. Okay? I can't stress that enough, you know what I'm saying? But again, at the same time, it's going to be depending on what it is that you all want to do and why you're here, right? And why you here to do what it is that you're doing. You're with who? Okay, so you're with East Point Police. Okay, all right. So maybe there's some additional things that they're offering East Point or whatever when they get their EMT, et cetera, et cetera. You guys are on the fire department, okay? Then we have lay persons or whatever, but it doesn't matter for the simple fact that they have something out here when it comes down to patient care. They have something out at these particular places. And I'm telling you, just even now, because the industry is so, not bogged down, but it's so, they're hurting so bad. I mean, with people that had left from COVID, they didn't want to work in this medical field anymore because they was afraid. I ain't trying to get these shots and this and that and the other. So it's just endless to where the fact that I'm telling you, I have friends right now who work on Amazon. These guys are working part-time, making $22 an hour part-time. And this guy's calling me, hey, counsel, you ain't got nobody yet that you're graduated yet. No, man. Everybody that I know, either, they haven't graduated yet, or they're getting ready to graduate, or some of them decide to just quit, whatever. And so I'm just waiting right now. So my job in this particular case is, I get y'all up out of here. All right. Now, what am I going to need with that? That means I'm going to need your help. Okay. How am I going to need your help? I'm going to need your help by you need to do the work. You need to put the work in. All right. So it's going to be some days, it's going to be some nights that you ain't want to do this stuff. You ain't telling me nothing. Because that was me. I didn't want to do it either. All right. But I knew that I needed to do it in order to get to the other side. All right. Now, whoever seen The Four Brothers? Seen The Four Brothers? That's right. That's my movie. That's one of my movies. I like that movie, right? 103,000 say if you want to cross the bridge, you got to do what? Oh, man, y'all crazy, y'all ain't about that movie. Like, he said, if you want to cross the bridge, brother, you got to pay the toll. You don't remember that? He said,
I remember the snowball he ran outside.
don't do it for that again. Don't worry about it. I'll be quoting several movies time to time while we going over class. All right. Now, you remember also too, Ms. Council love to have fun. I'll be talking about certain things to get you guys through the class because I don't want to beat y'all down in the head with this PowerPoint presentation all the time or whatever. That gets boring to a certain shape, form, degree. However, I still have to cover these particular things to say, hey, yeah, we did cover that. We did talk about that, etc. Okay? May jump around or whatever the case may be, but you'll know it because we've covered it. Okay? All right. Lastly, I'll reiterate it again. All right, we're all adults. Okay? As the class continues to proceed and move on, you're not here. All right? Y'all better pick up them phones and call somebody. All right? You cannot, I repeat, you cannot show up to work or call your job at 5 o'clock in the evening when you were scheduled to come to work at 0700, talking about you can't make it. Who does that? All right? Know that you will be fired. Okay? Same thing here for class. In order for you to get ready for what's going on out here, you need to be doing the same thing here in class. Don't come calling us 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening talking about you can't make it or whatever, or I'm this, that, and the other. Let me ask you a question. All right? You got the runs or whatever. You had some bad fish, right? Or whatever it is that you may have had. All right? You ain't coming to class today. All right? That may be, valid, right? Do you not call the instructor to say, hey, I ain't gonna be able to make it today? During class, do you not do that? Or reach out to somebody to say, hey, I ain't gonna be able to make it. Right? That's what you do. Okay? Now you go to work. Same thing, same scenario. All right? Got to run. All right, got bad or some bad fish or whatever. You wait to call your job 5 o'clock in the afternoon, knowing that you were scheduled to be there at 0700 hours. Say, hey man, I ain't gonna be able to make it today. No, you can't do that, because they're gonna be writing you up for AWOL, or you're just gonna get fired. No, you gotta call the job and let them know, hey, I ain't gonna be able to make it today. It's okay. Sometimes you just ain't gonna be able to make it. All right? But you need to still do what you need to do to get that work done. Maybe not that day. Maybe once it passed, once you get through blowing up the spot, all right? You need to try to see about later on getting the work done. That's why I told y'all in the beginning, y'all better talk to each other. Y'all better work together. All right? Five personnel members, 2 men in, 2 men out. All right? Each point, hey, y'all got y'all thing, brothers sticking together. Gotta make sure we all go home. All right? So work together. All right? Don't be that old, now some people don't do well with others. That's just the way it is. If you're one of those people, then you better just make sure you get to work on your own then. All right? So I understand that too. Does that make sense? And what I'm saying making any sense at all?
Yes.
All right. Now, y'all let me know what I'm lying now. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. One more thing. Anybody watch the game yesterday? Yeah. Who won? Who won the game? Bengals won, and who else? 49? All right, cool. All right, we got 49. Okay, 49. Oh, yeah? Yes, sir. Boy, look at him, boy. Ooh, boy, you might have came up and didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? You might have came up and hit him. Me and you talk aside. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay? All right. So, now, we're going to go ahead and jump into it, but I'm just saying some of these things, guys, all right? Because I do care, but at the same time, I got to hold a standard, right? You wouldn't expect Mr. County to be new and nothing less. I got to hold a standard with them. So don't look at me, look at yourselves when, certain things haven't been done. You hadn't reached out, you hadn't called nobody, you hadn't said nothing to nobody. Hey, man, if you ain't doing it, then don't expect me to step outside of that to do something else as it pertains to what it is that you need, okay? All right, now, talking about medical, legal, and ethical issues, all right? What's it mean to be ethical? Truth. What else? Morals. Okay. Is that what we're talking about? All right, let's see. Okay. So we're going to be talking about fundamental knowledge, emergency medical services. We already know that. Medical, legal, ethical issues, the provision of emergency care. All right. Talking about consent, refusal. All right. Refusal of care. Confidentiality. We already talked about confidentiality. All right. Main thing that comes to my mind when we talk about confidentiality is what? HIPAA. Good job. All right. uh, advanced directives, okay? Tort and criminal actions, evidence of preservation, statutory responsibility, okay? Mandatory reporting, okay? There's certain things that you guys are going to learn today that, you just can't, let it ride and just do a report. Like, you got to report it to somebody and say, hey, look, I think it might be some abuse going on here, right? East Point show up or whatever the case may be, like, look, I'm not saying it, they did, but it looks like it, you know what I'm saying? You just can't let that ride, right? Ethical principles, morals, somebody mentioned that a second ago, obligation, moral obligation, end of life issue. We briefly talked about that last week about how do you deal with people who lost a loved one, who's getting ready to, head to the, all right, so we got to make sure that, we know how to deal with these people, right? So some of the instruction is going to be basic principles of emergency care, is to do no further harm. You guys learned that. I told you guys in the beginning that one of the first things in EMS is to do no harm to the patient, all right? Or any additional harm other than what they've already experienced. A healthcare provider usually avoids legal exposure if he or she acts, all right, either in good faith or according to the appropriate standard of care, all right? So you got to do something. You're obligated, all right, to do something when you arrive to the scene on these calls or whatever. Consent, all right, is the permission to render care. I think we talked about that, or somebody asked a question about it, and I might have blown them off for a question, but that was only because I knew it was coming up. Okay, a lot of times I may do that. Don't think I'm chumping you off. It's just sometimes I know when we get ready to come to it, I don't want to get off track with certain stuff. All right. And then it'll be a reiteration, basically. But a person must give consent for treatment. Okay. If the patient is conscious and rational, he or she has the legal right to refuse care. All right. They got the right to refuse care. All right. What does it mean that if they're rational? What are the things that I think we might have mentioned? If not, we'll mention it right now. What it means for the person to be rational, or what do they need to tell you in order for them to refuse care? Okay, rational decision. So what is the EMS standard and how we figure out whether they're able to do it? What did we say last week? L times 4, meaning what? All right, learn the person, place, time, date. All right. All right, those are that's the rule of thumb. However, you can ask them, who's the president or whatever the case may be, right? Or something that a normal person would know. As Mr. Watts mentioned, as it relates to being rational and, just knowing certain things, okay? And some of what you all mentioned. So good. All right. Foundational consent is decision-making capability or capacity, excuse me. Can understand something. Yes, sir. No ID. Mm-hmm. Who missing an ID here? No one? I agree with somebody who's not here.
Okay. I like keeping it in.
Yeah, this is what I only have thus far. You got a question?
Oh, no. We're talking, you've been learning is, consent. You gotta get consent from this account.
That's fine.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so, can understand, inform, provide, can understand information provided. Can make informed choice regarding medical care. No, you don't. Okay, y'all like that better? Or y'all fine before?
Well, you hit switch.
That's up to y'all, you know what I'm saying? All the things here just all right. All right, I'm fine with if you guys, if that helps you see better. All right, patient autonomy is the right of the patient to make decisions about his or her health. That was on your question and answers this morning, the interest question Q&A, okay? The patient acknowledges he or she wants to provide care or transport. To be valid, the patient must provide informed consent. You have to explain the treatment, the risk, benefits of the patient. So let me harp on that a little bit, okay? Guy says that, man, they called you out for a heart attack, but now all of a sudden he says, man, pain gone now, I think I'm good, you know what I'm saying? But your AEMTs or your paramedics are like, on the scene, they show something like he may have like a myocardial infarction or something, right? Or even if he doesn't, even if the medics don't arrive on scene, he calls out the chest pain, you know, as a person or as a person who has empathy, holding some sort of ethical standards or whatever, you ain't gonna just be like, all right, dog, you good? You sure? You know what I'm saying? All right, man, call us again if you need us or whatever. No, it's our job to try to coerce the patient to try. Look, man, this ain't nothing to be playing with, man. You talk about you got a chest pain, you call us out here. So obviously it was bad enough for you to call 911, right? And if that's the case, then guess what? We need to start advocating for the patient to say, brother, listen, uh, you don't want to be playing with this because you do have a mild heart. If you're having a mild heart attack, this could be progressing obviously as we speak or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And maybe the pain will have subsided, but now we get in a row, run another call, whatever the case may be, you get hit again with one of them chest pains or whatever, now you're second, your minutes and so forth, time behind the 8 ball. So I really would suggest that you go to the hospital, all right? You want to try to get them to, go to the hospital, in these particular cases. But let me ask you a question. Sometimes we got to get into the mind of, our people or the people in the community. Why do you think sometimes they may say that? Oh man, that's all right, I don't want to go.
They don't want to go because of the bill, the ambulance ride bill.
That's right. What else, Mr. Watson? They may not trust the institution, right? The bills and some of these other things that you all mentioned. Exactly, all right? Hey man, look here, let me tell you something. I got chest pain. I don't care nothing about that bill. I don't care about whatever it is I got. I need to go to the hospital. If you ain't got the money, well, don't worry about it. Go see myself. They just have to, these people got insurance and stuff for all this stuff, man. This stuff will get taken care of. It'll get washed out some kind of way. But you don't want to be playing around with your health, and you want to make sure that you're advocating for the patient. Okay. All right. Implied consent applies to the patient who are unconscious, otherwise incapable of making an informed decision. All right, so it's implied. All right, it's implied that hey, this joker, if he bleeding out and he unconscious, it's implied that if he was conscious or she was conscious, that they would want you to plug him up and take him to the hospital. You can't be like, well, they ain't up, so I guess we're gonna leave him right here and let him bleed out, right? When a serious threat to life exists and the patient is unconscious or otherwise unable to give consent, the law assumes that the patient would give consent. Obviously, the care of transport is what I basically just mentioned, okay? Should you never be used unless there is a threat to life or limb. Still talking about implied consent. Principle of implied consent is known as the emergency doctrine, all right? Try to get consent from a spouse or a relative if they're around. Yes.
So it should never be used unless there's a threat to life or land. So you don't use the implied consent if they finna lose a leg. You gotta try to get them up to get that consent or something. But,
no. So basically, what it's just saying is, obviously, all these things that maybe they're about to lose a leg or whatever the case may be. They're not, thinking, or maybe they're unconscious or whatever. So it has to be something serious, because if it's not serious, then they're probably gonna give you consent, right? You don't need implied consent if they're up and telling you these things. You see what I'm saying? All right. Involuntary consent applies to patients who are mentally ill, in behavioral crisis, developmentally delayed. Okay, all right. They don't say retarded or like that. All right. Obtain consent from guardian or conservator. Not always possible. So understand your local provisions. Okay. So a lot of times, you may be on a call, and I'm sorry, I might use your APB or whatever the case may be. Joe done got shot, but he maybe just got shot in the arm, and whatever the case may be, right? Well, they still may have this joker, he breathing and talking and so forth and so on. They may have this joker in handcuffs. They may just try to kill 5 people down here or whatever. They got him strolled off in the back seat or whatever. We may look back there and he make sure that he's good or whatever the case may be. If we need to have them remove it because of something, we can do a life-saving intervention. Maybe he just got grazed or whatever the case may be, all right? Well, this joker probably going to the hospital, to get passed up or to get stitches or whatever. Well, he probably gonna want to go because he in their care, but guess what? He going. He going, all right? Involuntary consent. Okay, hey, brother, we gonna patch you up. You know, he probably would probably prefer to go patch himself up if he got some sort of grades or whatever. No, you just been involved in a major crime or whatever. So, hey, brother, we gonna just tie you to the car, tie you in the back, you know, with your little wound or whatever, and take you on down to the hospital. And then we gonna put you in jail after you get up out of there. All right, I'm just saying that's just the way it goes. All right, now I will say this. Okay, this is just from my personal experience. All right. East Point, APD, cab, whoever it is calls you. All right. And, you know, they're like, hey, man, this joker right here, we just keep fighting us, this, that, and the other. All right. You'll be like, okay, cool. Y'all got it. All right. Yeah, we got it. Or whatever. All right. But you've been called to the scene, obviously, for the message dispute or whatever it is. Okay. No. And the PD say they got it, whatever the case may be. All right. Well, y'all get back on the engine or get back in the truck. Hey, go ahead and show me one back in service. Call left with APD, whoever. Right. Yeah. Gone. All right. 2 years later, or maybe a year later, you get a call saying, hey, man, you involved, we got your name down and it's involved with, you know, a possible murder or, you know, person death, you know, on this call or whatever. Your first thing you thinking is, what the hell? What do you mean? What call is this? Oh, it's a call that you guys was been dispatched to on such and such a date and such a time. Oh yeah, that was APD. They had that call, whatever the case may be. Oh, okay then. Well, you got dispatched to the call though, didn't you? Yeah, we got dispatched call, but they said they had it and they took care of it or whatever. They had the person in custody. I saw him, he was in the back seat, you know. So okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, you still in the call or whatever. You still gonna be on trial with this here as well. But what did I do? That's the problem. You didn't do nothing. All you did was let PD tell you, hey man, we got it. All right. And then you drove off. No, sir. All right. You need to go over there and assess that patient. Say, okay, hey man, you good? You see that the person's breathing? I don't care if it's just a person, I don't care if it's just you looking at them, you know what I'm saying, getting you know, seeing that he ain't got no bruises or bumps on his head or whatever the case may be. Maybe you might even put his SpO2. Maybe you might even check something as simple as his blood pressure. All right. At least at a bare minimum, you could say patient was AO times 4, you know, no trauma appears to be to the patient, et cetera, and just close out the report. All right. But you ain't gonna remember that. Why? Because you just let them drive off with the patient or whatever the case may be. Now, come to find out because they ain't gave you all the information, you find out the guy had a bump on his head, you know, so forth and so on. What are they thinking about? Or what are they probably thinking? Or what are these lawyers are probably thinking? Yeah, they thinking that PD done them in, or whatever the case may be, and you know, you didn't do your part. So they trying to figure it all out. You see what I'm saying? Don't get self caught up in nothing like that there. At least at a bare minimum. Don't be lazy out here because, you know, we got some folks that will do it. What I told y'all that officer said, APD officer said when we had that call when that glass had broke out. What I told y'all he told us? He ain't going in there. Say he ain't going in there. Brother, you ain't going in? What is it? This is all part of NIMS and incident command and so forth and so on. Hey, brother, we got to make sure the scene's safe, but we even go in there. You want to go in there and check it out, brother. That's why you the boys in blue. We the boys in red. You know what I'm saying? We want to come out here and doggone sense and see about, you know, EMS stuff and put the fires out or whatever. They say they don't want to do our job. We say we don't want to do their job, but this boy ain't want to do his job. All right. So, you know, we just got to keep those things in mind. Now, not all personnel like that. You know, you go to somebody, call the guy, all right, guys, hold on 1 second. Let me check this place out before we let y'all come in here. All right. So just keep those things in mind, all right? Parent, a legal guardian gives consent. In some states, a minor can give consent. Emancipated minors is what they call them, all right? So you guys should remember that. That should stick out in your head. Emancipated minors. All right. These people are married, all right, in the armed forces, or they may have kids. All right. And if they have kids, they kind of look at them like, you know, hey, these guys can have consent to say X, Y, or Z. All right. Teachers and school officials may act in the place of parents. All right. So know that as well. If a true emergency exists and no consent is available, treat the patient. Okay. Consent is implied. All right. That kind of goes back to what Mr. Smith was asking or whatever. If it's a true emergency, then it's implied that, you know, you would want to do something. Okay. The law requires that parents or a legal guardian have consent for treatment or transport of a minor. However, you must never withhold life-saving care. Okay? So if it's something of serious magnitude, hey, you worry about getting in contact with the parents or whatever the case may be, because it's implied that surely they will want somebody to save their child. Okay? Sometimes necessary with combative patients, all right? Legally permissible, consult medical control, may require law enforcement, all right? Sometimes you may have combative patients, all right? Or Pookie and Ray right now, you know what I'm saying? He want to, be acting all crazy or whatever, but he bleeding, and I can see his skull, but he's still acting crazy or whatever, but he may be combative, all right? Maybe he doesn't know what's going on to a certain shape, form, and degree, or maybe he do, right? Well, it ain't your job to worry about whether he do, whether he don't. It's our job to try to get this man some, patches on his head or whatever it is he got banged up on or whatever, and try to help him out. Now, again, if you can't do that, and that's where East Point them come in. Hey man, look here. Let me go ahead and start East Point this location, or start APD to this location, because you can't get done what you need to get done. So now it's their job to try to get there to help restrain this joker. Okay? And put the strong arm on the law on him. You know what I'm saying? Put the joke in the headlock, whatever they need to do to get this guy down, or whatever. I'm joking to a degree, but then that's what they do. They have to get the person to a point where you can try to provide some care for them. Okay? So don't forget that. We had to call, oh my God, and this is a young lady, unfortunately, where we get to the call, people are calling us and, hey, she's over here, she's over here. Like, okay, so we get over there. Sure enough, young lady, she's just going back and forth, but she's constantly scratching her head. So as she's scratching her head, guess what I see? I see a skull. All right. So she's scratching so much till the point that now I can see the inside of her dome, and she's just bleeding and stuff just running all down the side of her face. Right. Now, obviously, there's something going on, whether it's mental, whether it's some sort of drugs. I don't know if it's bath salts or whatever the case may be. But I'm like, hey, man, we got to try to help out. So it's like, ma'am, so we start questioning her. Say, hey, look, well, we want to try to help you out. Oh, it's just hard. It's just hard. And every time we try to get in there, she starts, oh, get off me. So now she's flailing, blood and stuff is splashing everywhere. I'm telling the guys, hey, man, make sure you go get your goggles. Don't go to, of course, I told them that before. Get your goggles. This girl may start, So then the other five might tell me, yeah, we done had her before. She ain't going to let you do it. Last time they said the sister just showed up on the scene. And was like, yeah, that's my sister. I got her, It was like, hey, well, what's the deal, Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Now, when they do that, what can you do? You can't do. All right, she got in the car and just drove off with the girl, But the thing that you can do is you can document it in the report. You got bystanders there, PD was there, and everybody saw it. You know what I'm saying? They'll probably have to do some sort of report as well. And all those things usually kind of match up for the most part. Maybe one from one perspective, from another perspective. Okay? All right, just like the Bible, you see certain things that are read in the Bible or that is in the Bible, but it's from one person's perspective as opposed to another prophet's perspective or whatever, and what they saw. All right? So keep that in mind as well. Consult medical control. All right. If you're unsure of what to do, you need to reach out to med control. That's what they're there for. All right. They're there to kind of, say, hey, okay, do this or whatever. Or have you done that? Make sure that you do such and such. Okay. So keep those things in mind. If you don't have a clue on what it is that you may be doing, however, as you get out of this class, you should know. Okay. Once applied, do not forcible restraint, okay? Once applied, do not remove restraints unless there's opposed to risk of the patient. So in other words, patients can't hardly breathe, all right? East Point came to help strap them down or put some restraints on them, but they, you got there and maybe you can pull up on the fire engine. They got the man restrained on the stretcher, but he's restrained in a prone position, okay? Well, that may affect his breathing to some shape, form, or degree. And if we need to start intubating this dude or whatever, y'all want to flip this guy over, right? So it doesn't do any harm to the patient, okay? Consider calling ALS backup to provide chemical pharmacological restraint, all right? What does that mean? It just means that, we might have to stick this joker with some 5 and 5, all right? 5 milligrams of Haldol and 5 milligrams of Versed or something to calm the joker down, And unfortunately, there's a lot of times where, as a medic, I've had to do that, right? The joker flailing around and fighting and carry on. And PD, they've done what they can do. Like, man, look, man, You know, now I gotta go bring out the truck back, you know what I'm saying? All right, we pull it up, you know, all right, y'all hold him down, hold him down, y'all, you know, and I'm gonna hit him on the side or whatever, I might hit him in the cheek or whatever the case may be. Now, they'll be playing around for a minute. When I tell you that stuff start working, they be, yeah, man, all right, yeah, that's it, 5 minutes later, yeah, man, y'all better sit down for 5 minutes after that. Alright, this stuff, I'm telling you, man, these drugs, I'm telling you, they something else, okay? That's why,
All right,
yeah,
so that, advance, we don't get to push that kind of stuff, right?
not that, you know.
All right, so what, no, I know that, but we ain't got no paramedic on our truck, so other than the ones that's, it's like a few in the department.
Mhm.
So we can't push that. What do we do until called, what's it called, take a minute to get there? What's
that?
Grady.
Brady,
Grady taking a minute and
Yeah.
put you down, that's all we got. What we gonna do?
you just gonna restrain the patient? You just gonna have to restrain him, brother. You know what I'm saying?
You out there for 4 hours, you out there for 4 hours waiting on Grady to get up, boy, you could be tired.
Yeah, okay. That's right. You know, you gonna have to, hey, like Donald Trump, I'm stand back and stand by. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes that's just the way that it is, you know. But you want to make sure that the patient isn't hurting himself or hurting anyone else. Get PD on the scene until you can, you know, do what it is that you can do. Like the young lady I told you guys on that second time when we went out there, because the first time I didn't go on that call, but when we were there on the second one, PD wound up, you know, showing up, but they showed up after Brady had showed up because they were call was pending with them. All right. So it's unfortunate, but at the same time, you know, that's why we do what we can do, right? If East Point or APD, and then, you know, it's just running calls all the time or whatever the case may be, usually, all right? And sometimes you might be there a minute, but luckily for us, Grady was there, right? That's why one of the things that, you know, you may not know this or whatever the case may be, one of the mindsets is, remember now, I always tell you things about balance, right? There's a mindset of whether it's a fire, whether it's you know, a medical call or whatever the case may be. One of the mindset is to try to overwhelm the situation. All right. When you guys are on the fire, right? What do we try to do with the fire? We try to overwhelm it with copious amounts of water. We try to get all hands on deck. When we get all hands on deck, what do we do when we are running out of personnel? Start me a second alarm. Start me a second alarm. We got all hands working radio. You see what I'm saying? What is the same thing with PD and us, even when it comes down to the medical thing, right? Fires on person, fires on the scene. We provide EMS care for the patient, but it's a little bit too much. We need somebody else. You may need ALS, right? Or like Mr. Smith. What do we do? Well, y'all gonna stand by and get some more resources there to help overwhelm this thing to get this person in check. Well, wait on PD or East Point to get there, and we can go ahead and try to, you know, overpower. You know, East Point Jail or APD, whatever the case may be, the riots and all this stuff. It's our job to try to overwhelm it. All right. That's why a lot of times they show up the way that they do. Okay. Because the first thing you start thinking is, oh, hell, you know what I'm saying? You know, in the mindset, right? All right, you get the horses out there, or you get all the brothers in blue with all the shields or whatever the case may be. It's the mindset to try to, you know, overwhelm this thing and get some sort of a resource, some type of order. All right, can't just have everybody running out doing all kind of stuff and doing everything that they want to do. Mess around and tear up everything, right? Get some people hurt, seriously killed. All right, I'm just saying that's just the way it is, right? Constant alert, adults with decision making capability. What time is it? 11. All right, y'all take a break. All right, think for the next. I ain't gonna say next 30 minutes. Putting all this stuff said now. Have we gone an hour yet? Or no? We have? All right. All right. So what time is it? 10, 11. Let's come back at 10:20. Hit that pause, we'll butt back there, please. I did not. All right. So, talking about the right to refuse treatment. Let me ask you a question. All right, just for the sake of class, not having to bore you guys so much with these. How? I got a patient on the back of my truck, right? I'm on I-75. Right? Patients, alert, conscious, and oriented. Tells me the person FaceTime says, hey man, I want to be on this truck, man. Let me out. Let me out right now. I need to get out. What do you do?
Then if they sit down
He's you know, he just, got, maybe he cut himself accidentally or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But he need to get fit.
If they constant alert and they can tell you what they want,
Okay,
yeah, I get that it's the interstate, but if they tell you let me out
yeah.
and you don't follow their wishes, don't just roll into like some of the stuff that you
That's exactly right. Mr. Watts and Mr. Colbert is exactly right. All right. And I understand what Mr. Smith is saying because, you are going into the fact of kidnapping or, keeping the patient. But what did I say? You got to make sure that you first do no harm to the patient. And you let this joker out on 75 and he mess around and get hit by a vehicle or something because you don't pull off to the side of the road, even though you on the side or whatever. He's like, I get on the worry about you. All right, and he gets on next thing you know,
he was rational. That's
you
all I know.
and everybody else who dealt with that call is on the news tonight. All right, so the first thing gonna say, well, why didn't you put the man out? Well, he said he wanted to get out. Okay, why you didn't put him out on the side streets or whatever, where you knew that he would be okay? Or put him off at the park or whatever, or the next exit.
You know what? You're right. I just, the little turn part where you get off the baby. Yeah, I'm gonna just let him out right there on the corner and turn left.
Yes, sir.
Okay, say we do that, right?
Okay.
And then later on down the line has issues or problems. Does that turn into negligence?
Okay, what kind of issues or problems are we talking about?
Like you said, he had a cut, right?
He just had a cut. Now, like nothing detrimental, but he need a little stitches.
That's it. So it ain't gonna like open back up and nothing like that.
Well, here's the deal. What about so I'm glad you're asking these questions because what did I say earlier on that we need to do? Well, document is one. What's the other? Not in those words, but what did I say earlier in the beginning of the lecture or somewhere as we were getting started?
Gotta make sure they competent, right? Make sure they're not, you said it's not used hard.
Okay, all of this is good, but I was gonna look at one specific thing
You
also.
already treated them.
Want to make sure that we reiterate to the patient, hey man, look here, this cut might open back up and you may bleed out or whatever. We want to ensure that we've told them, hey man,
Okay,
I wouldn't advise you to get off or leave right now because you need to go take care of this or whatever. You want to go ahead and re-emphasize and try to coerce the patient because you can't say that you helped try to coerce the patient in your report and you never did it. See what I'm saying?
So once you do that, you document that.
That's right.
They go, you drop them off at the park, they get robbed.
Hey man, they get robbed or they bleed out or whatever. You got that refusal.
So much information.
You never know. You might have beef with somebody.
Enforcement. Yeah. Yes, it's a refusal. Yeah, we do have a refusal form, okay? And what do you need to have on, or who are these assigned?
Witness.
Yeah, you and some sort of witness, okay?
So the person you with and the patient, and then if somebody else there.
That's right. If East Point there, they witness it or whatever the case may be, depending on where the call is, if it's something different, and they're there, and they don't want to go, and this, and that, and the other, hey man, go ahead and sign this right here, brother. This Jack.
All right, so my question is for that. Me and him on the truck together.
Okay.
Yeah, we riding together, and he signed as a witness, but we still sort of need more witnesses as well, right?
Yeah, you do, right? But if you don't have them, then what you do?
We just got
Yeah, it is what it is.
signature, right?
Right, you just have to put your partner's signature on there, right? Because everybody's looking at you to be, yeah, in good faith, being honest, telling the truth or whatever, but if someone's there that you can get them to sign it as a witness, then you don't let your partner sign it, you let him sign it or her sign it. Does that make sense? Okay, all right, good. All right, so conscious alert, those making with, having the, decision-making capacity, I have the right to refuse treatment, can withdraw from treatment at any time, even if it results in death or serious injury. Right? So they can wind up dying. You best believe that report better be put together now. All right, don't just be putting, in 2 or 3 sentences and like, okay, this is gonna be good enough. Oh, you gotta put some details in there. All right, because they may come back later on trying to figure out what happened. Calls involving refusal are frequently litigated, all right? Involve online medical control and document this consultation, as I'm kind of pretty much alluding to. All right? That says the patient's ability to make informed decisions, all right? They gotta have some sort of decision-making capabilities or whatever, all right? You know, you might want to ask them a couple of times, which is, I think, what this thing is going to probably wind up saying. Ask them a couple of times. Are you sure, sir? Well, look now, make sure now, because, you know, this could happen. You know, last time, you know, not last time, we just want to make sure that you understand the ramifications of what it is that you're telling us, okay? Assess the patient's answer, all right? They seem like they erratic, or they seem like they just kind of going all over the place. Then you want to, it's probably not the patient that you want to allow to refuse the care. All right, observe the person's behavior. All right, if the patient appears confused or delusional, you cannot assume that the decision to refuse is informed refusal. All right, hey, don't assume nothing. Do not assume Nathan. All right. Here. Anybody married here?
Or
Whatever they come to the side of the plate.
keep the word out what you're talking about.
All right. I'm sorry. I said observe the patient's behavior, right? If the patient appears confused, delusional, or cannot assume, don't assume anything. Basically, when it comes down to this, all right? Do not assume anything, all right? And because if you imagine sitting in court and you use that terminology, well, I assumed, and that's the wrong answer to pick up. All right, don't love me in court saying that. All right. All right, providing treatment, okay, is a much more defensible position than failing to treat, all right, the patient, all right? So, yeah, provide the treatment, do something, all right? Don't just not do nothing at all, because obviously, as it's saying, it's more defensible position than failing to do anything at all. I mean, that's somewhat self-explanatory, right? Don't endanger yourself. Use the assistance of law enforcement if needed, okay? You may need them. We mentioned that already a couple of times, all right? You may need them. Don't hesitate to call them if you do. Before you leave the scene where a patient, parent, or caregiver has refused care, here we go. Encourage the individual again to allow care. All right, that's what I was talking about. All right, make sure you reiterate it to them. Let them know what could happen if they don't go get this, catheter put in when it may happen a heart attack or whatever. Ask the individual to sign a refusal care form. Okay, a witness is valuable. All right, in these situations, and document all refusals. All right, there it is. I won't be able to explain to you no more plainer than that.
So that's based off of a perfect world when it comes down to the book. If you're looking at the book standard, it's a perfect world. They don't give you the BS that go on. If a person do not want to sign that paper, how you go about that?
Refuse to sign.
Refuse to sign?
Yeah, that's gonna be in your report. Like, because I was about to ask you before Mr. Watt said what he said is, he said, this book is kind of going up here, but no, it ain't. It's telling you, hey man, document it. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. You just got to, basically, you're just telling a story. You got to tell the story what happened, all right? I had a cardiac arrest last night, right? So they send another engine out, they send us. The other engine gets there first, all right? So the other engine gets there first. The officer goes in and the firefighter goes in, and then I'm on the other side of the apparatus trying to get drugs or whatever the case may be, because the other apparatus is a BLS apparatus, right? Well, when I come through the door, right? They've already intubated the girl with the eye gel. They're doing compressions and the AED. Now, I don't know what they talked about or whatever, but when it's time for me to do my report, the only thing I can document is what I saw, and everything that I saw and everything that we did up to that point. Then when Grady shows up, I'll say what Grady did or what I remember Grady said. And those reports, the engine that they did, that thing should match up somewhat by what I said and then what Grady has done. Okay? Now, what they did en route to the hospital, I'll just put C Grady report for additional interventions conducted en route to the hospital. I can't speak on that because I wasn't on the engine. I wasn't on the Grady truck. Right? I'm on the engine, headed to the hospital and go pick up the crew. That's it. You're telling a story. You want to try to be as detailed as you can as possible without incriminating yourself. All right? don't be saying crazy stuff, you know, or saying something like something that was done that you didn't see, you know, was done. Okay, that's gonna jack you up or whatever. Like, okay, well, did you see that? They good at these. I'm telling you, these attorneys are good. Well, did you see that? Oh, you know, it was in there. What did you? Who done it? All right. So you just put down what it was that you saw. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Confidential information includes patient history, assessment findings, treatment provided. Okay. Information generally cannot be disclosed except, all right, so these are the moments and times that the information can be exposed, all right, because we said that HIPAA law, you know, we can't be putting out this information. However, if the patient signs a release, then you can get this information, all right. If the patient has to sign a release form, say, yeah, I'm clear. You usually do that when you go to the hospital, all right. Or you have a yearly checkup and you say, yeah, I release this information so they can forward that information to whoever the next doctor that may need to see about you because of an issue you may have. All right. If a legal subpoena is presented, all right, they subpoena that information, oh, that information going. They don't care, it don't matter what the deal is. All right, because it's obviously gets subpoenaed for a particular reason. If it is needed by billing personnel, all right, hey man, I get my money. Let me see these charges here that Medicare is providing, right? And they need to be paying out or paying ambulance services or paying whoever. These billing services need to see these things. They just came out with something about a year ago now where the Medicaid is asking for additional information, right? And asking for additional signatures for doctors and so forth and so on. Because why? There's a lot of fraud out there that's going on, all right? People being transported and you know, saying that these guys or people are saying that they're doing what it is that they're doing, and they're actually not doing it, but they get paid for it. You know, so you know, the United States has a plethora of charges and things of that nature when it comes down to Medicaid, Medicare insurances, or insurance fraud and things of that nature, where people are manipulating the system. Okay, what happens with that? Well, the people who are legit, they get sucked into that back, and now they have to start doing the same thing too. Okay. Healthcare, Insurance Probability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, 1996, contains a section on the patient's privacy. It strengthens privacy laws, okay? Safeguards patient confidentiality, considers information to be protected by or health information, okay, PHI, all right? So, you know, you get on the call or whatever the case may be, don't y'all be, you know, because what I told you, people is recording all the time now, right? You got these cameras out, or you got bystanders or whatever, and you come up on the scene, you like, hey man, what's your medical history? Oh, you know, I got hypertension, I got asthma. What? I got hypertension, I got asthma, and hold on, brother, I can't hear you. What you said? You got AIDS? You know what I'm saying? You know, come on, man. Don't put the man out like that. You know what I'm saying? No, not everybody know. All right, you can't be doing stuff like that. You know, you just got to be confidential. You know, use some sort of tact. All right. All right. Use some sort of tact when you're talking and getting this information from your, you know, your patients or whatever the case may be. All right. Maybe Bone Quisha and them didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? And now you done told it, all hell gonna break loose. Okay. So you got to be mindful of these particular things, okay, when you are retaining or giving information and or talking about people's personal medical issues, okay? So there's strong probability acts for that. All right, failing to abide by the provisions of HIPAA laws can result obviously into a civil criminal act. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. All right, you can't do it. You're gonna get yourself caught up. All right, don't do it. All right, gotta question it. Best thing to do is don't do it. All right. Anybody see training thing?
Yeah.
Training day? What Denzel say when we told Jake, but you know, and Jake said, I'm gonna get that money. Get that money. And what he say? Say, go ahead, you gonna shoot, huh? You gonna shoot? Go ahead. You can do it. All right, don't do it, y'all. Don't do it. All right. General public is often permitted by law to record identifying and protected patient information and images. Okay. Might come back to that. General public is often permitted by law to record, identifying, and protecting patient information and images. Mhm. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm gonna have to come back to that because I'm a little puzzled about that. It's often permitted. That should be prohibited.
It may have been prohibited.
He said they got the right from the board.
Right, identifying and protecting information. That doesn't make sense to me. So I might talk to Paul about that, and see what they're saying about that. That's supposed to be prohibited. Right?
General public is often permitted by law to report, identifying and protecting. While it would be unethical and illegal for a responding EMT to take a picture of severity of infection, general public can.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
So you know how it goes.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense now. Okay, so did you all hear that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you see it on Instagram and Facebook all the time. Now I have the right to record what's going on right here. You know what I'm saying? That's it right there. Okay, and a lot of times you thinking that, yeah, nah, man, y'all got, but there it is right there. They they have the right within limits, I'm sure, you know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't gonna be in there while you working on people, just stand over you while you know what I'm saying? But if the law's there, they're like, hey, man, y'all stand back, whatever the case may be, then they need to, stand back. And if they record, whatever the case may be, is obviously they have the right to do so because, and I guess in a sense, they're supposed to be not safeguarding, but ensuring that we are also doing what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? Yeah. All right, so good. Glad we got clarity on that. All right, social media. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, social media. Hey, social media, but I don't know, boy. It's good and it's bad. All right, a lot of us, a lot of people out here using social media for, they doing some awful things, right? But then some of us are using it, to learn and to gather information, et cetera, ourselves or whatever. So in our particular line of duty, we got to make sure that we are doing the right thing when it comes down to it. All right, I'll give you something that it's not funny, but it is funny. But I just, you got people on the job, you got jokesters, right, and friends that you work on the job. And I have friends, where we do something. Everybody ever heard of a cadaver lab? All right, so for you who don't know it, you may know these are bodies that that are real bodies or whatever, right? And they have they're stitched up, but they've been donated to science or whatever the case may be. So someone may have a cadaver lab of a male patient, a female patient, maybe a baby or whatever the case may be, and they keep these particular persons in these cool environments or whatever, and they put certain things on where they're able to sustain. So what you may have is just the torso and the rest of the body, all right, with the arms cut off, right? And you may have the head, okay? So my a friend of mine was on the Tactinetic team. He has a cadaver lab where we have one at the training center. Okay, so we got this thing at the training center, but because he's always joking or whatever, he was like, "All right, now don't y'all go out here taking pictures of so and so titties and this and that and the other." He, because he's always joking like that. He's a fire guy. You guys are making these jokes and stuff. I was like, "What boy, don't be crazy." That's what I'm thinking in my head or whatever, right? So, I'm one of the instructors out there at the school or whatever. So, we going, I'm like, oh, man, these things look real. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing that's coming in my head, So I'm looking at the face, I'm like, man, these things real. So I'm talking to this, Mr. Council, hey, man, what is this right here? I'm like, oh, so you look right here. That's what it lungs. As a matter of fact, grab that BBM. I said, I can blow it. I said, man, so I'm in there poking along and everything. This thing look real. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking to the guy and everything. Man, come to find out, man, I'm like, after a while, us being in there, it's a smell. It's a smell. So Marcus comes back in eventually, and he says, "Oh yeah," he said they're gonna have to be put back in the freezer after a while because after a while they start having this smell with him. So why they have this smell though? I said, "Well, they bodies whatever." I said, "Yeah, but they're not real, so why would they be smelling like that?" He's like, "No, because they are real." I'm like, "What? They real?" So but he didn't know it though. I don't know it's me. I was in there taking pictures and stuff. It look real, Man, thank God I didn't send none of them pictures out and telling people like, right, like, hey man, this thing look real good. Man, look at this chick right here. You know what I'm saying? Blah, 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 And, man, I deleted them pictures immediately, okay? I deleted them pictures. So there again, if you have it could be a misunderstanding, something you get yourself caught up or whatever the case may be. But luckily, you know, he said what he said, and I was like, oh, no, I didn't know that. I'm deleting pictures and everything, man, because, you know, there was a lady there, you know, he asked to cut the lady's, breast or whatever, because he said, I bet this probably is, looked like she had some job done, but sure enough, he just kind of did a little slit or whatever, and she had a piece of, silicone in there or whatever. But anyway, I digress, all right? But I'm just telling you guys, you gotta be careful when we out here with this confidentiality stuff, right? Conduct yourselves professionally on and off duty. I'm telling you, I do not be in these uniforms out here acting a fool. All right, because you are putting a name, or you know, you walking around with this uniform and so on. You are still representing the department when you have that uniform on. All right, now if you want to go out there with your gear on like Mr. Kobe there, or whatever, and you want to act fool, then all right, you can. But do remember this here though, while I'm saying this here, you still are a public servant. So it is expected of you, even though that you're not in uniform, to carry yourself in a certain way. All right? Because guess what? Even though you don't have the thing or whatever the case may be, it'll probably be found out that, you know, public servant such and such and such, you know, da 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 da, and it'll be all over the news. All right? And then usually you are proven guilty until proven innocent. Most of the time, whether it's department or whatever, it's, you know, PD or whatever, they don't care nothing about Mr. Watson, so forth and so on. He's guilty until he's proven innocent. You know, that's what the public kind of look at you like. This man ain't risking his life and so forth and so on, doing everything right, but, you know, you might have a couple of bad apples to where they may not look at him like that, right? They look at everybody else and what they've been doing wrong, and this one man right here doing the right thing. They look at him, oh, stone him. All right, no, you know, everybody has the right to be, you know, innocent until proven guilty. That's not what the society we live in, unfortunately. Free speech does not mean that everyone has the right to say anything under any circumstances without what? Without some sort of repercussion. Yeah, you can talk that mess to your mama until she slap a fire at you. Huh? Ain't that right? Even talk to mama and dad know any kind of way now. That's right. You get your style, all right? And his name is John Cena. All right? I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying. All right? Well, the same thing applies out here in our society. First thing they want to do, oh, I got a free right, I got free speech, I feel something. You know, yeah, you do have free speech, but you best believe, depending on what it is that you're doing and or saying, you may receive some repercussions behind it. All right? Might get killed. Okay? That's right, or taken to jail. So, you know what Mr. Council do? I know my grandma used to tell me when I was a young man. Boy, shut your mouth and go sit down somewhere. Right? Now, I'm from the old school. That's what my grandmother used to tell us. All right? And I took heed to that stuff. So now, as an adult, I don't pay that stuff no attention. But and what you think about it? They don't care about that. If it ain't affecting, you know, my circle or what it is that I'm dealing with at my house, I usually don't care too much about it. Right? It ain't none of my business. All right? You know, do I have an opinion? Yes, I do have an opinion. What I said about opinions when we talked about it in class a little while ago. Everybody got it. All right? Don't mean your opinion is right. Don't mean mine is right. We know ethically what could be right and wrong or whatever, generally, you know. I mean, it's not right for me to be, go with Mr. Ellis and say, you know what I'm saying? Let me get your girl enough, dog. You ain't talking. Let me get you. All right. So ethically, right? I shouldn't be doing something like that. We all know that ain't cool, whatever the case may be. And that can also do what? Have some repercussions behind it. Okay? You said what now? It could. It definitely could. It definitely could. You best believe that. All right. Speaking of DNR, advanced directives. These are your advanced directives. Okay. These are your advanced directives. All right. This means, it specifies treatment that should the patient become unconscious or unable to make decisions. Hey, listen, everybody. There's going to come a point in time in our life that We're not always gonna be young, all right? This is why, another reason why I feel a certain type of way about my job, because I go on so many calls with the elders, go on so many calls with, people who are not able to do for themselves, right? Go on so many calls with people living certain conditions or whatever. And every time that I go on these calls, I am thanking God because I'm not in that position, right? It sometimes can be a humbling experience for a lot of us who has everything going for us, right? When you go on this call and this joker is like, on all these prescriptions because, he has diabetes, he has cancer, he has hypertension, all these things, right? And you just living your life, right? Like ain't nothing going on. That's a blessing. I don't know if you believe it or not. That's a show enough blessing. Any morning that you're able to get up with your limbs and able to breathe and be able to move freely, take a bath, have water, have food, have shelter, right? That's a blessing. All right. And you don't believe in God, whatever the case may be, hey, that's fine, but you thank somebody. All right. That you are not dealing with some of these calls or having to have this type of lifestyle that you're going on. All right. So for me, it's humbling. Okay. Do not resuscitate. DNR, order in advance, directive that gives permission to do not resuscitate. Do not resuscitate does not mean do not treat. That was on your entrance Q&A. All right. Don't mean don't treat them now. Okay. We talked about that a little bit earlier. All right. Other names for advanced directives are called living will. Healthcare directives. Okay. Remember, I said, just for a learning piece and EMS or whatever, for you all who are trying to do things like living will doesn't necessarily mean that the family won't be able to challenge it in certain states. Okay. I left Miss Simmons $50,000. That's my, my little goddaughter or whatever. I left $50,000. She was like, "Ooh, I'm good." Then my brother, he come over there like, "Hey, I know he left it in the will, but you know what I'm saying, I'm an heir. I'm an heir to my deceased brother." "Oh, you ain't getting nothing this here. The will says Simmons." All you gotta do is go to court. Why? Because Mr. Counsel didn't probate it. He didn't probate it. So now they hold it up in court till, now she'll probably wind up getting it eventually or whatever once everything gets washed out of the weed. But they don't want to go through all that. Just go ahead and have probate, y'all. Okay. Go ahead and have that stuff probate. All right. Living will. All right. Healthcare directive. All right. DNR orders must meet the following requirements. Statements of patient's medical problems. All right. So it doesn't say what was going on with the patient, what led them to, get to the point of where they are now. Signature of the patient or a legal guardian. Some people are legal guardians of their family members, their grandma or mom who's gotten sick or father who's gotten sick. All right. And they have legal rights to make decisions for their parents. Okay. Signature of a physician or healthcare provider. All right. And then, of course, the DNR should not be expired. All right. So if, Auntie Lisa come up there and say, "Oh, no, we got a DNR, so y'all ain't got to do none of that. Y'all ain't got to do none of that." All right, Lisa, okay, you got the paperwork? I got it. I got it. All right, well, where's that? Well, we got it. We got to get it. All right, guys, keep doing what y'all doing. Keep doing what y'all doing until she bring that paperwork.
How
All right.
does everything expire?
Huh?
Like, how does that work? Like, how long?
Well, if it's expired, then you got to keep doing what you got to do. It don't even matter.
I'm asking, like,
Okay.
so they're not for life kind of things?
Oh, no, they have to re up on those things. I think they're like annually or something like that. So in other words, if a patient is receiving some sort of service or whatever the case may be, like treatment and things of that nature, then there should be a physician that's updating that thing because let's say they don't need the DNR anymore. They've been nursed back to health and they're really decent or whatever. Well, you generally kind of figure that they'll update that information or whatever the case may be. All right, so this terminal and ain't no turning around, they ain't coming back. And you just keep updating and saying that they still in a position like people who is in hospice and things of that nature. Okay.
So what do they do about it? And then like you want to keep it going, but they
Then they're able to make they're probably able to make those decisions for themselves or whatever the case may be to say what it is that they do or don't want done or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But generally, the people who gets these DNRs, they walk towards the light, y'all, you know what I'm saying? They in hospice and, you know, ain't no turning around, it's terminal, they, you know, it's all jacked up. You had something to talk?
You know, my cousin got a DNR, but she ain't like close to the light.
She's not,
No, she had a kidney transplant.
Okay.
Ear rejection.
She still-
She's like 27.
Ooh.
She just tired of it.
for real?
Yeah. I mean, like, her twin, like, gave her a kidney and then they rejected.
Really?
And then they had to do a bunch of stuff, like, take one of her ribs out and some stuff. Then put like a, like port for dialysis and all of that.
Yeah.
So she got a DNR. Her mom's a Christian, but she like,
She gonna
yeah,
time.
like, I'm trying to be on this forever.
Yeah, yeah. So in those particular cases, those are some other cases as well. That's why I said some, you know what I'm saying? Most people usually will have it, but in his case, like you said, you know, this is another thing, you know, when you experience, that's why I said again, all right? And I'm just reiterating this from time to time, because this is a serious thing, and it's near and dear to my heart, especially because of the lifestyle that I live now. The fact of the matter is that you have people now that you even see with, you know, with Tony saying, it's his cousin, right? Now she's, you know, they done tore open. She done got a rib removed and had a kidney rejected. And some folks, just eventually, they just get tired. They just get tired, like, man, I don't want to keep doing this, you know, hey, man. If I go into cardiac arrest, whatever the case may be, hey, man, just let me go. You know what I'm saying? And they just get tired, you know? You don't want people, but that's why, again, I say it's a blessing to be in the position that we are in, and we ought to be thanking God for it every day, all right? So, yeah. So this is an example, right? Advanced Brexit is an example of water size DNR order, okay? You guys can take a look at that at your leisure. That's figure 434A, okay? Says one side with information where it may have a photo on there, has the birthplace, hair color, hospice program, if they have any hospice program. All right, telephone number of the patient's physician, right? Hey man, y'all call them up. I tell you, until we get him on the line, keep doing what you're doing. All right, you don't want to stop doing it until you find out it's legit. All right. Side two, licensed healthcare provider, all right, and again, there's a witness as well, okay? Physician orders of life-sustaining treatment, all right, and medical orders for life-sustaining treatment. Explicitly describe acceptable interventions for a patient must be signed by an authorized medical provider. Contact medical control if you have any questions about that, all right? Some patients may have named surrogates to make decisions for them. Durable powers of attorney for healthcare, also known as healthcare proxies. All right, so there may be somebody that may be a proxy for you. All right, for you those that may not know, I'll give you an example. Mr. Smith, he wants to make sergeant or whatever the case may be, but he's on shift that day. They have like a process that you need to come down and sign so on and so on. So he may send Mr. Toll, hey Mr. I need you to proxy for me, man. This is what I want. This is the station that I want to go in. Since I'm on shift, man, can you go down there and do it for me? Yeah, man, I go down there for you. All right, so he's proxying for him. All right. All right. Due to the growing number of hospice home health programs, you may face this situation. Okay. All right, this stuff is saturated. All right. You know, these people are in these particular homes, you know, hospital. God forbid something catastrophic happens, you know, in Atlanta. Now, here's the deal. Being a TAC medic, you know, I always tell the guys when we do the training or whatever the case may be, it's not if it's gonna happen, it's a matter of when. All right, it's a matter of when. Why? Atlanta's a hot spot. All right, we got state is being stated. We got CDC. We got all type of stuff going on. It's the big movie spot now, you know. And usually these people want to go to these particular places where they have, you know, multiple people, so they can get the most publicity out of it. And probably wind up deciding that they go off themselves before PD winds up offering. All right. So we just have a whole bunch of particular things going on. But in healthcare, like I said, when it comes down to hospice and all these particular places or whatever, these places are getting saturated. Okay, everybody needs some sort of help in some shape, form, and degree. We try to do the best we can as a society. I think, with of course some abnormalities within politics and government and things of that nature. Everybody ain't trying to do right by everybody, but we're here together. We just gotta try to make it work the best we can, y'all. All right. A physician determines the cause of death. All right. Presumptive signs of death. Unresponsiveness to painful stimuli. Sir, are you okay? You know, they used to do what they call the sternal rub. You guys may have heard that. We're trying to get away from the sternal rub, right? Grab them back here and pinch them on their trapeze and on that big muscle. Usually if that person comes back or whatever, you grinding on their chest, well, they may have a bruise there later on, you know, if they come back, right? Or if they wind up was drunk or something, and, you know, wind up being, you know, well later. I'm like, what the hell happened? Why I got this pain on my chest? All right, so I'm rubbing on your doing a sternal rub. Lack of carotid pulse or heartbeat. All right, absent breath sound. No deep tendon or corneal reflexes. All right, you don't see them, you know, breathing hard and seeing some of those flexions there. All right, hey, they might be walking to the light already. Okay. Some other signs of death, absent eye movement, no systolic blood pressure. Usually a lot of times we'll pull up on the scene, right? And we'll take a look at their eyes. If their eyes are fixed and dilated, they probably gone. All right, ain't no movement or whatever. That means the neurological system is shut down. All right, ain't no paps after that. Okay. Profound cyanosis, lower or decreased body temperature. What did I say? Since we're in medical school or EMT?
See if chest, skull, labs.
That's right. All right, because what is the body doing? What is it doing with the blood? That's right, it's pooling it, it's pooling that blood from all the unimportant extremities. All right, feet, hands, ears. All right, it's putting the blood away from those areas and taking it to the core and trying to sustain it as long as possible. All right, sustainability, trying to maintain what? Homeostasis. Good job, y'all. Okay, yes, homeostasis. Okay, trying to maintain balance. That's what homeostasis is. Body is always in the process of trying to maintain homeostasis. All right. Woo. Definitive signs of death. All right, you see the pool of the blood, that stuff, that blood right there, it ain't circulating no more. It's just relaxed and let go. All that blood just starts to, you know, pool in certain areas depending on how they land. They land on their side, they land on their back. That blood will just start pooling. All right. Usually now the thing is, we used to, for you guys to know, maybe I don't know if your protocol is any different, but our protocol is now we can't leave the scene with Grady no more. I don't know why, what happened. I'm gonna have to talk to one of them Q&As when we have it. Hey man, why we can't leave the scene no more? You know, usually we could leave the scene with Grady because they say, hey man, we got a, you know, obvious 48 in here. 48 is one that goes with death.
No, they don't.
Y'all can't even.
You can't leave until the medical.
Okay, so their thing is they can't leave to the medical examiner. For us, we can't leave it with the ambulance anymore. Fire have to stay on personnel until they get there, right? So I'm not absolutely sure why, because they're EMTs as well. However, now fire personnel members, if Grady is there, they come out and they tell us, hey man, it's obvious 48. I gotta tell him, all right, brother, we got it. We'll sit tight until PD gets here. All right, and then PD needs to sit tight until medical exam. Once PD gets here, I'll say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what was told to me. They found the person inside the room laying on the floor. People had heard from him, so they, you know, give whatever information pertinent to the situation until I've given them everything. And then after that, hey, brother, you got it? Yeah, I got it. I'm out there. Yeah,
Maybe it's the preservation.
maybe. It could be the preservation of evidence.
Does the CID know? Take a picture of them.
Yeah. It could be for the preservation of evidence. I don't know. You know, usually when Grady goes in there, whatever the case may be, and they see, the only thing they're gonna do is they're gonna touch them and see if they, you know, any signs of life there. Usually once the signs like, they start backing out. You know, they start telling everybody who starts showing up. Yeah, it's obvious 48. They rigor mortis done set in, person stiffness of bone, you know, those type of things. So there might be some validity to that. Yes, what's that?
Why do we continue to work on it?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a great question. Yes, sir.
You gotta stick it to work, so they're not getting working.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? No? All right.
They just gotta
So,
wait till somebody get out there, like a paramedic or somebody will put the thing up to the second they like, they.
okay.
I was about to say, because we might not be able to check the pulse or
Okay.
heartbeat, it might be smaller.
Okay.
Tools.
So, yes. All right. So there are several reasons why sometimes we may continue to work a particular person, all right? One of the reasons is like what he just said, all right? If the person is somewhat warm, say, well, I just saw him about 30 minutes ago, all right? So then at that particular point, we might, okay, we gotta go ahead and try to work this guy, right? Guy say he just saw him, you know what I'm saying? So that means anywhere between the 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We don't know how long this guy got. He could have just went out 5 minutes ago and the guy just came back. I just saw him 10 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying? And so we may need to work him there. All right. The other thing is, like he said, as it may be a BLS person that's on the scene. With a BLS person, they're only going to do to hook up the AED, right? Well, the AED can't see, all it will say, that's right. It'll say,
Continue to work.
yeah, continue to work the patient or whatever the case may be. However, when I show up, when I see with my EKG, I may hook up the machine and I'm able to see if I have, PEA, which is pulses, electrical activity, all these things where I can confirm, yeah, we need to go ahead and work this guy. You know what I'm saying? There's a possibility that he still may be alive. Hold on, Mr. Simmons. Yes. Pick your hands up first.
St. Mary Gangster, right?
Yeah, that's what Denzel, right?
Yeah, remember they fuck the dude eyes open so they can get out the project? Y'all be doing that?
Wait, do what now?
Remember when the dude, the police officer, right?
Uh-huh.
Partner, they was in the project, and the partner was doing the dope, right?
Mhm.
And then he ended up killing the dude, and then he had to call his partner to get up out of the project, and they propped his eyes open with broomsticks,
Oh, no,
and then
brother.
rolled him out.
No,
Well, he
we-
was dead though.
Huh?
They acted like they was working on him to get past all the
They
people.
gonna,
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
they gonna say no, some body camera,
Right.
and everybody gonna leave the scene or something like that happen.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
They
Yeah.
gonna run to the station and say, this what he did.
Okay.
No,
No,
not
sir.
him, not the dude. I'm talking about the person that was dead. Like they ain't want to push him past the door with all the people because he was dead. So they act like they was working on him.
I gotta go back and look at that part.
I get what he's saying. He's saying to make it look like he's still alive, so
Oh, no.
people won't react.
Like most of the times when we work up, this is my question. Like we do with you guys. We'll work a person until blood is coming out, and it's like y'all gonna take dead bodies, but it's like when you first get to the person, right? Because it's gonna be like a 60-70. When you first hit his chest, it's gonna be like it's air, like it's like a whooping cushion sound. It's like oh, he did it. You know what I mean? But you still have to continue to work them until like I guess you, like he comes like somebody who knows what they're doing. But it's kind of like why do we continue to like go to muscle failure? And it's like we'll push him to the point where blood comes out of his mouth when they strap him up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like why?
Yeah. So the other thing is, in this scenario, that a lot of times, depending on, how long they were there, those are factors. Whether the ALS is there to confirm by placing them on the monitor to say, yeah, we got to confirm consistently.
So advanced can't call it.
Hmm?
Advanced can't call it. Once we get out of advanced, we can't call it.
No, advanced can't call it. If you got an ALS, if you got a advanced EMT on the truck, and then you also have a EMT base, and those two are riding together. No, none of us come. The paramedic can't even call it. And what I mean by that is paramedics come and say, "Hey, this is what I see. This is what I got, or this is what we've done so far." Medical control, you got to pass that on to them and say, "Okay, go ahead and call." All right, I'm not the one to call. All right, none of us are. Okay, you can only say what it is that you've done or whatever. The other thing is, sometimes, remember we talked about, dealing with the patient, whatever the case may be, or dealing with the person's family, whatever the case may be, a lot of times they look, all right, sometimes, and this is the truth, sometimes you may have, you got to try to do something so you can say we tried to do something as opposed to not doing nothing else, especially when there's a gray area. If there's a gray area there, sometimes what we have people do is, well, they said this and that and the other. I'm the type of officer, when people start asking questions and everybody's talking, see what I get a sense of, nobody wants to do the work. Hey man, go ahead and put that monitor on him. Hey man, I need you to start pressing on him. I ain't doing all that in front of these people. All right, let's go ahead and get to work, get him out of here, get him on the truck or whatever. If he ain't gonna make it, then he just won't make it, or she won't make it. All right, but we can't be sitting up here questioning, going back and forth with these people standing right there in front of us. Does that make sense? Okay, it's this man's child or son or daughter, whatever. You feel the same way. Now, why everybody saying something? Why ain't nobody doing nothing? what I'm saying? Don't be doing all that. Go ahead and get to work. If there's a possibility that, they don't know this and that and the other, you done touched them or whatever the case may be. Remember now, it has to be definitive signs of death where you know that, you working. Let's not even try to act like we finna give them hope. This joker dated. All right? And they been dead. Okay? The eyes are fixed. The jaw is clenched and won't move. All right? The rigor mortis is slowly setting in. You can't do nothing with that. All right? But if there's a gray area, it's somewhat slightly warm, nobody has seen them probably in the past 10 minutes or whatever, go ahead and start working. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes.
You told us this, but what the?
It is electrocardio or electric, because there's two terms, there's ECG or EKG. Electrocardiogram, and the other one is what is it? What's that K? I know we just say ECG.
Guessing.
No, it's not. It's electrocardiogram is one terminology, and then the EK is electro. Oh, you know what? They use it.
They do say EKG and ECG.
Right. Yeah, so they use it interchangeably, but I just know it's for cardiogram. Okay. All right. So, what was that? Oh, dependent lividity, blood settling. We said that, right? Definitive signs of death. All right, rigor mortis, which is what I mentioned a minute ago, occurs usually between 2 to 12 hours after death. All right. Algor mortis, Mr. Smith. Cooling of the body. I'm sorry. Until it matches the ambient environment. Okay. So simply it just means, all right, they're dead now. We all have a core body temperature right now. But if we was to pass right now, then our temperature would ambient the room temperature that's in here. Okay. Purification, all right. Decomposition, all right, of a person's body occurs between 40 and 96 hours, all right. You start decomposing, you can look for that thing to smell and wreak havoc. You ain't even gonna be able to go in the house, all right. Like I told y'all, and PD probably, they might have it, they might not. I know I said I was gonna get something the other day and I forgot to go to the store and get some. Man, get some Vicks or something. Put them in your nose, dab a little bit on your lip there. Cause some of these calls, that's right. Woo! Some of these calls, man, you go on and you be like, yeah, and you got a weak stomach. I'm telling you, now, what I say every time we in class, not all the time in my class. This ain't for everybody. I'm just telling you. Now, Mr. Watts on the force, whatever the case may be, some of y'all here or whatever on fire. This ain't for everybody. It just ain't. Okay? Now, if you got a problem with blood, smells, and so forth, hey man, y'all about to go sign for something else. Okay? All right. But it's liberating a lot of times because of, it's always good to be able to give in of yourself, man, and try to help others in some shape, form, or fashion. You signed up for something that's real good as it relates to service of others, okay, and things of that nature. Involvement depends on the nature and cause of death. All right. Examiner notified in cases of dead on arrival, DOA. All right. DOA, we don't play. All right. Dead on the scene. All right. Dead without previous medical care. Suicide. Okay. You will run suicide calls. Okay. Some of these people, they just want to end their lives. But I will say that some of these people just want attention. All right. As PD knows as well as I know, you want to end your life. Ain't nobody gonna stop. Yeah. You really want to end it. All right. There's plenty of ways you can do it. There's a million in some ways probably to die. All right. But sometimes some people, not all, some people just may want some attention or they need some sort of help. All right. And this is they choose this way to kind of, do this particular thing. It's sad either way though. Okay. Sad either way. Violent death, poisoning, known, suspected, okay? You guys are gonna learn how to deal with people who have taken, several meds or medications trying to kill themselves, all right? Things of that nature. You'll learn about that and what we use to treat that. Death from accidents, suspicion of criminal act, all right? Infant and child death. One of the things is you have a soft spot, maybe some of you will, some of you won't, all right? I do for children or children's death, all right? Because the pain and the agony of the parent of that, I couldn't save that child, right? There's no scream like a parent or a mother who has just lost their child, all right? And you may experience that. And it's almost like I've been in tears on the call because there was nothing that I could do. You know what I'm saying? And that mother. Because what am I thinking? I'm thinking of my mother or my cousin who has a child or whatever. Or if I have children, my own children, right? That's what you do, you know? Yeah. Mm.
They shut the whole, they got into Southern Regional, which was, they had no pediatric.
Yeah.
They shut the whole, from Riverdale, shut the whole down, running. What's it called, a regional hospital?
Southern Regional? Yeah, Southern Regional Hospital, that's right.
And Rogers became,
Yeah.
you know how they.
I'm telling you, it's nothing like it, ladies and gentlemen. It's nothing like it, you know. You have to be prepared for that. But remember now, again, we have resources for that. You know, we have EAP and things like that. But don't sit there and act like it's not bothering you if it's bothering you. All right? Talk to your supervisor. Right? Tell them, hey man, I think I might need to talk to EAP, man. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. You know. Yeah. It mess around and see you home. Right? Now you know, you may still get paid for it, you know what I'm saying? So don't think you ain't gonna get paid. Some of y'all be like, man, I ain't get paid, I'll be all right. You know? All right? Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about your money, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, on a serious note, you know, if you feel a certain type of way, then, hey, take that time off, right? It ain't, sometimes it's not worth it, all right? Sometimes the money's not worth it, while, you know, as it relates to your mental health, okay? All right. Boys and don'ts. All right, what y'all talking about? Y'all talking about the assignment?
Yeah,
All right,
I asked him what's the difference between a 6-year-old and a 60-year-old. Like,
okay.
'cause he said they shut the whole thing down. I don't recall him doing that for nobody else.
6 month old.
Yeah, 6 months.
So, you know, when we're talking about, you know, when you talk about 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, most people,
Or maybe I could say 26. They just do it with the younger now.
okay, what's the difference? Well, there seems to be in our society a more sensitivity towards babies and children as opposed to an adult.
Because it's never seen.
Yeah, it's rare that you see children dying from whatever, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, think about this. Think about a child who never had an opportunity, you know, who's never got to experience anything, who's just pretty much starting out life, right? These babies, you know, they're infants or they're children, 2 or 3 years old. And because children are some of the most, they're some of the most forgiving, some of the most, you know, you know, you guys hear me say this all the time, right? I make these references with my lifestyle that I live, so don't take offense when I say these things. That's why, you know, that's why God says, humble yourself as a child, right? Says humble yourself as a child, because me and Mr. Fowler, we can get into it today, right? And me and him, we might have a grudge for 5 months, all right? But, all right, let's do it right here. I can break this, brother. All right, so we can have a dispute, right? But we might have that dispute for whatever reason for 5 or 6 months, you know, because of our attitudes or whatever the case may be. But children are not like that. Once you whip them or whatever the case may be, 10, 15 minutes after that, Mama, Daddy, they don't have that. So when God is talking about that, because of the heart that they have and the mindset that they have, they don't hold on to stuff like that. So he's asking us or telling us to humble yourself as a child, because he understands that the mindset of a child definitely is not the mind of an adult. We hold on to things. We argue. You know, children argue whatever, they fight whatever. You try to push them in the right direction. Y'all don't fight. No. 5 minutes after that, or even a minute after that, they playing. You see what I'm saying?
Sharing their stuff, everything.
Sharing their stuff and all this other good stuff. So people generally just have a more sensitive spot, I believe, when it comes down to children, and may not, may not have the same services done for Quisha or whoever it is,
And they have no, like, they're not the reason of nothing. They're not, it wasn't their fault. Like, when you go into the, like, cause he's point, so we work together, when you go into these homes and stuff like that, and my bad, Mr. Council.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, sir. I like the dialogue.
When you go in and you see like what the kid's subject to, and like say you got like the baby right there, right? Because like you're gonna be in charge. I'm gonna be with you, you're gonna be in charge. Like I'm gonna help you. Like I had to touch the baby. You get what I'm saying? Because the baby's dead. And then it's like, okay, mom is right there. You know what I mean?
Go.
Like she's looking at you, you know what I mean? And you like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the baby's dead.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault that the roaches are, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like everybody stops what they do.
Yeah. It's
Except the 26-year-old who
yeah.
make these messed up decisions. So now, like, we're grown men, so it's your fault. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, the reason why is your fault as you get older.
They don't know better.
Yeah, the children don't know better now. At the same time, the 26-year-old may have got shot, with straight bullet. It wasn't her fault either,
Yeah.
So that could be a situation. However, your mindset, you hear that so much or whatever, you don't cater to that, you're just like, oh man, that's messed up, man, they shot that girl or whatever. So you may not go with above and beyond, but for the child, you see like, oh my God, that was so sad, you know what I'm saying? And then your heart just kind of, goes out to that and people use it, try to do different things.
Yeah, because it's like so many different things. Like, yeah, it'll be hurtful for a 26-year-old to die.
Yeah.
And that mother is sitting right there.
Yeah.
It's totally different when the mother just gave birth
Yeah.
to that child and they just coming into that child.
Yeah.
And the child passed.
Yeah. So they're obviously there are different things or whatever. So, you just obviously want to make sure that we're sympathetic to everybody, right? Depending on, what's going on in that particular situation, but definitely for these children. Organ donors. Anybody in here organ donor got an organ donor on their license? Yeah. Anybody else? Ain't nobody else giving up. Anybody else giving up when y'all shit out of here? You know what I'm saying? You ain't been using no more. What you don't know no more. That's right. Okay. Well, you have the right, obviously, to hold on to it. You know what I'm saying? You will have, a lot of people who's willing to do it or thinking about it or whatever the case may be. Or, some people's like, nah, man, I'm good, and that's fine, as Mr. Talbot also mentioned his cousin, got the kid or whatever, but the body rejected it, you know what I'm saying? So, those are things too, and then there's some people out there who's gotten the heart, who's gotten the kidney, they're functioning fine, they're living, the life because the person who, was able to donate that particular organ, okay? But again, as the EMT, and I think Mr. Anderson might have mentioned it earlier on, one of the things we try to do is sustain them, with these particular organs because it'll take a certain amount of time for that organ to actually die when there's no blood being circulated and so forth. And if they can save it, long enough to be able to transport it and preserve it long enough, then somebody may be able to use it. Okay. Usually, we know that person is an organ donor based off their driver's license, or they may have a card. I think now they may even have some bracelets. I don't think this mentions that, but they may have a bracelet saying that they're an organ donor of some sort. Your priority is to save the patient's life. Remember that organs need oxygen too. All right, there's an organ donor card as a example. Yes. Been out. All right, good. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. I appreciate it, brother. Let's go ahead and have what time is it now?
11:22.
All right, we'll give y'all a early lunch today. 11:23. What? All right, the council got doggone like this, all right? I heard that. Let's do, say 11, it's 11:23. Y'all come back at 12. Hit that, pause button back there. Yeah, good. All right, thank you so much, sir. All right, so since we know that you guys have eaten, we're gonna go ahead and try to finish this up. And, we can go ahead and get you guys done, we'll let you guys continue on, see if you guys get you guys all out of here, so y'all can finish whatever work y'all got signed. All right, so medical identification insignia, we talked about that, right? Briefly, bracelets, necklace, keychain, or card indicating, okay? DNR orders, we talked about that, allergies, okay? These are special situations, diabetes, epilepsies, and other serious conditions that the person may have. Some patients wear medical bracelet, as I mentioned, or now with the USB flash. All right, so this is some kind of new thing that they're doing. Not new. I'm sure this technology has probably been out, but I'm seeing it for the first time during this particular chapter, and they now have the USB out there as well. All right, they do also have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a system, what is it called? Assistance 911, or something to that effect. And that name might not be correctly, stated correctly, but it's some sort of system that they have now. So where if you're riding on an engine, right, and you're going to a particular address, it some kind of integrates the system. Not all departments have this, have the integrated system. So if it's Miss Johnson and Miss Johnson is having a diabetic episode, it may come up on your CAD system and say, address so and so and so.
The enhanced system?
That, okay, it's enhanced 911. You guys have that?
Nah, I'm getting
Heard it?
one.
Okay, all right. So this system, obviously, you guys have heard of it. Then yeah, for the ones who haven't heard of it, it's a system that it's going to pretty much tell you what type of person that you may be getting ready to go to. Ms. Johnson, she was diabetic, or she has hypertension, or she had a stroke before, and she's unable to move, so forth. So it kind of gives you a generalization of what it is that you may be getting ready to experience, or what you may be going to again because you've already been there. Okay. All right. And there's a picture of a young man got his little bracelet on. Okay. Outlines the cares that you are able to provide, usually defined by state or law, or excuse me, state law. Medical director further defines by developing protocols and standing orders. Okay, so you're going to have your protocols, and you're going to have standing orders. All right, these are things that when you get ready to go out here again, I think I mentioned it first day of class, second day, I can't remember, but you ain't gonna need to call the medical director all the time. You'll have the standing orders and you know what to do based off of those standing orders, okay? Medical director not only has to deal with you as the fire department, but he has all the fire departments or may have a few fire departments in that area, okay? And they're all working up under his license, which means that you can't be calling this man every time you turn around because you got an issue or whatever. No, you need to learn what it is that you need to be able to do, right? Standing orders, so you don't have to call him every time, right? And usually, if it's justified, right, because maybe you had to do something or defer from it slightly, right? You have to defer from it slightly. Well, the medical director will stand behind you if whatever you did was justifiable. All right. So in other words, I'm not saying like to the point to where if you're a EMTB and then you place the advanced airway in there, right? All right, you might, you need to have that scope of practice of training. But, let's just say it's something minor, whatever the case may be, right? You didn't do no harm to the patient, right? But it did help them to some shape, form, or degree. Then the medical director might say, okay, cool, as long as no harm, no foul, you have to save the patient's life, you stop the bleeding or whatever the case may be, then you may be able to get away with that, all right? All right. Carrying out the procedure outside the scope of practice may be considered negligence, okay? So this is why you don't go outside of what I just mentioned. You don't place, an ET tube down a person's throat and you ain't been trained for that, okay? May be negligence, all right? Especially do some damage. Now, what am I, I better not tell you all that. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get y'all to get some craziness in y'all head right now. All right, but it could wind up being negligence. Or a criminal offense, okay? Well, I'll say this here, as we PDs here, you guys are right, tax minutes, that so forth and so on. So, our department right now currently doesn't have a thing where the tax minutes are able to, carry a firearm, they're trying to get us mandated and things of that nature. I told you guys how that usually works, I'm saying? We got, SWAT down there suppressing fire, there's some guys who out there shooting or whatever the case may be. And we're kind of just sitting off in the cut, waiting to see if, you know, they're gonna get this guy down or whatever. If one of them gets shot, then it's our job, obviously, to go get this guy, put him into a particular area, right? So we're not getting hit by any of the fire that they're suppressing down range, right? But one of the guys somehow gets flanked, all right, or you know, he gets away or whatever, and he comes around and you know, somehow gets around to your particular area. Well, we're not, you know, we're particularly not, you know, carrying firearms. There's somebody probably in our group that's probably told. All right. Now, here's the thing. All right. This department, you know, is going to justify, you know what I'm saying, that we ran around and killed the person. No. They're going to be like, well, you're not supposed to carry that, whatever the case may be. However, by the time everything gets out of the wash and everything goes to step by step, we're saying, well, you know, this guy prevented others 50 feet from getting shot. Maybe y'all need to go ahead and start mandating these cats or whatever the case may be. Now, the guys who are on the TAC man team, they may be thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna do this and then ask questions later. You know what I'm saying? But you just can't obviously just be out there, you know, popping around, you know, trying to be a part of the action or whatever the case may be. Right? Okay, so, you know, it has to be justified. A lot of things are gonna have to be justified when you do a particular thing or whatever. Okay? Standards of care, manner in which you must act or behave. You must be concerned about the safety and the welfare of others. Okay, I told you guys in the beginning. All right, you don't care about people or don't have a sense of the love for helping others, then you are in the wrong field. If you didn't sign up to be here for a check, all right. If that was the case, probably a lot of people, you know, quit the job long years ago. Okay, with some of the pay that they were paying. Standards of care are established by local custom, all right, law, statute, ordinance, all right, administrative regulation or case law, professional and institutional standards. Example, AHA or CPR guidelines, okay? Or textbooks example, National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. Standards are established by standards imposed by state, okay? So you have medical practice. Or Medical Practice Act. What act did you guys just pretty much learn about? Get your papers. Yeah, white paper act. I was watching on that, y'all. This is what we're getting you. White paper act. That's what y'all had to write a report on. All right. Certification, license, okay, and credentialing. What is the difference between the certification and a license or license?
Certification is like you met the standard that's required of licensure, like.
I thought it was
About the same.
the
What I'm saying is, I don't think they'll put it.
I use the word life because it sounds.
License is the organization who roll off the certification.
All right, so let me show you the difference. Let's go to slight difference. Your certification is something like, you know, like your CPR. All right, CPR card. You got CPR certification. All right. The state usually regulates licensure. All right. Your EMS license, once you get done completing this class, the state will authorize you, once you've completed a certain amount of training hours, et cetera, they mandate that you be licensed to be proficient in that particular area. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so that's what it is. That's some of the differences right there. All right. And then of course credentialing. You guys have to be credentialed when you know get your credentials as it relates to some of these things, these practices. A lot of the stuff is going to come when you do your practicals and things of that nature. Okay, learning these particular skills. Individual responsibility, a duty to act. I think we've moderately talked about somewhat of a duty to act. Individual's responsibility to provide patient care. Your duty to act applies on your ambulance response to the call, okay? And once your treatment is begun. All right. Mr. Watts is on the way home, all right? He's off duty, all right? Sees an accident, okay? Is he obligated to, you know, stop and render care to those particular people?
Yes, but I'm not doing it. Sorry. But yes, technically it is.
All right, fire?
No.
Why not?
You said off duty and.
He said,
Again,
off duty. Y'all duty.
Oh, no, he's not obligated to, but if you're like, wanna be citizenship or whatever, what that word is? It's a word that you told us.
You ain't got to, but you go.
All right.
Yeah, you can.
Everybody live.
Oh, a good Samaritan.
All right.
That's what I meant.
No. You have to do it, especially if you're gonna call it more view.
All right. So here's the thing. All right. You're off duty, right? You're in uniform.
Oh, you
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Listen to what I'm saying, though. You're in duty. You're in your vehicle. You're on the way home. All right. You're not obligated to stop and render care for that accident. You're not, because you're not practicing up under anybody's license at that particular time. All right. And who knows that you were in the car? All right. Now, to your point, if you stop, then you will be protected. All right. Now, provided that you don't go out doing something crazy, additional things that you don't need to be doing, like, trying to throw an ET tube down somebody's throat because they can't breathe or whatever. But if you're providing, simple movements or interventions, like maybe you're holding C-spine, or maybe, you say, okay, hey, let me apply some pressure. You're bleeding right here. Things of that nature. All these particular things, you'll be protected from the Good Samaritan law, because you're stopping to try to, prevent somebody from, having some sort of catastrophic, situation go on possible. Okay? Failure to provide the same care that the person with similar training would provide in the same or a similar situation. All right? All four of the elements must be provided, or present for negligence to apply. All right? You guys had that on your Q&A this morning, question and answers test this morning. All right? Duty, all right, breach of duty, damages and causation, okay? Risk isolipitor, all right, the cause of the injury was in the control of the EMT. Generally does not occur unless there is negligence, all right? Negligence per se, the conduct of a person being sued is alleged to that occurred in clear violation or statute. And then torts are your civil wrongs, all right? Cause of injury that was in the control of the EMT. So in other words, you wind up sticking that tube down their throat and caused esophageal damage, okay? You did something that you wasn't supposed to do and caused further damage to the person, all right? More damage than they had originally, okay? Obviously, you can be sued. The conduct of a person being sued is alleged to that occurred in clear violation of the statute. Okay, you guys are in clear, violation. You guys are out here doing stuff that you know that you're not supposed to be doing. Who trained you to do that? Who told you to do that? Why did you do it? Okay, you can't be doing that. All right. Civil wrongs are just simply what they are. They're torts. Torts are civil wrongs. Unilateral, okay? Termination of care by EMT without what? Patient's consent. Okay? You just, you mess around and you went ahead and started a, IV on them or whatever the case may be. Not you guys are bees right now. All right? You just walked on from them. You can't do that. All right? Making provisions for continued care. Making provisions would be what? For continued care.
Trying to figure out something else.
All right, well, making provisions is going to also be, well, that if you're done with the particular care that you're providing, then you have to transfer care to a higher, right, either an equal or a higher level of care. All right, it has to be either equally or it has to be higher level of care that you're transferring that patient to. All right. Abandonment may take place at the scene, okay? You can abandon someone, all right? You start working like, man, hell with this. I ain't gonna be moving this crap. It's don't get on my nerve, all right? Well, you got the call, right? You got the call. You started assessing the patient, and the patient started talking crazy to you. Told you Pookie and Ray Ray just started tripping on you, right? So now, guess what? You ain't trying to hear it. You pissed off. You mad. Your girl mad at you at home, or whatever the case may be, and you ain't trying to get nothing, he's talking about. You walk away from him, okay? Be held, negligent for not providing a particular service if the patient winds up dying or something. Okay. Also, that may take place at the emergency department. Okay, so you can go to the emergency department with that patient, with them on the stretcher, right? You want to transfer care off to someone else. The doctor, the nurses that are there and whoever, if you just like, all right, man, we here at the hospital, get off with stretchers, sit right here and chill. And then somebody should be out to get you and admit it. You good? All right, cool, man. We'll holler at you later, man. All right. No, you can't do that. All right. You'll trying to get, thrown in jail or something. All right. Go to a serious court case if something happens to that patient. Always obtain a signature on your patient care record. Assault and battery and kidnapping. All right. Assault, unlawfully placing a person in fear or immediate bodily harm. An example would be restraint. Okay. Battery, unlawfully touching a person. Example, providing care without consent. Right. So you got to get consent from these people, right? All right. They have to tell you, hey man, I need some help. Or, it's implied they called you and you start getting towards them or whatever the case may be, you asking them questions about what's going on. Then it's implied that, okay, well, I'm asking you these questions. You tell me it's your blood pressure's high. All right, I need to put a blood pressure cuff on you. If they put their arm out there, they basically let you know that it's okay, right? It's implied that they want some service or they want some help, okay? Don't go just putting on your hand or something, Joker, and, he ain't saying nothing. He just, you doing all the talking, but he ain't saying nothing. I said, well, make me your hand because you ain't saying nothing. I know this from my cast that you need some help. No, you better not do that. You might get jacked up or whatever the case may be. All right. And then you'll be in violation of what we're talking about here, battery. All right. Kidnapping, seizing, confining, abducting, and or carrying away by force. Example, transporting someone against their will. Okay. Can we transport someone against their will? No, you can't. But
If they knocked out when you start transporting.
yeah, then if they knocked out, it's not against their will. Yeah, it's implied then that, right. Okay, what you say, Mr. You say something else?
Oh, no, I was saying if they wake up and say, let me out on 75, you can't let them out on 75.
That's right. Can't let them out on 75. We discussed that, right? Do not let anyone out on 75, y'all. All right, take them to a safe area. Okay, get them to sign your refusal. They don't sign the refusal. You better make sure that you document that. All right, patient refused to sign it. All right, it's okay. All right, you ain't be like, man, I gotta get this refusal. Don't panic. All right, just put it in your report. Make sure you detail everything that you told them and everything that you was trying to get them to do, and they decided not to do it. They jumped out the truck. Say, man, F all y'all, I'm out of here. Okay, fine. Don't put that in the report. All right, you'll be fine. Okay. False imprisonment, unauthorized confinement of a person. Okay. That's what you'll be if you're just trying to keep them in there against their will. All right. Defamation. All right. Communication of false information that damages someone's reputation. How do we see that? We see that all the time. Where do we see that most? Nowadays. Anywhere. Yeah, politics, but where so more right here in front of you now? Social media. Y'all got them computers? Huh? Oh, you saw it? All right. Yeah. So right there, social media, people are always talking about somebody, right? And I mean, it got bad one time, and it may still be. I don't maybe because I'm not on there as much as I used to be, but these people going back and forth about the person's family or look at her butt, it's all jacked up and stuff like that. Just a whole bunch of stuff, and people take. They take the heart of this stuff. What killed me? When we was younger, people would say, your mom. That was fighting words back in the day, right? Say something about my mom. But, a mature person, would say, you still don't even know my mom. So what is the term your mama mean that makes you want to fight? It's the fact that it's your mama. Not the fact that the person even knows your mother, right? So you don't know your mama. So the things that you may mention and or say is of no consequence or no relevance of no thing. It's something to get up under my skin and make me want to fight, right? Because everybody knows that's what you do or that's what you did. Okay. All right. Now it's different now. We in the place and you put your hands on my mom. All right, now this might be a little different now, okay? Mom was a woman, or whatever the case may be, you a grown man, so forth and so on. Hey man, put your hands on the mom. All right, it might be a little different, all right? Hmm? Well, I'll say this, all right? I'll say this, all right? Usually, when things arise, all right, for you young people in this classroom, you better try to, de-escalate the situation before you escalate the situation by saying certain things. Hey, man, don't do that, all right? Because when he pulls up, they gonna want to know everything that happened, all right? Well, you might be. You just might be, right? But they don't find you. You know what I'm saying? Just a matter of time. Who wants that life when you got to be on the run like that? All right. Well, you might not be. You might not be, but if why you put yourself through that or whatever, So you want to try to make sure that you say these things or whatever the case may be. Some of y'all probably right now, you go out or whatever the case may be, guys may, might have a girl with you or whatever, right? Girls with you, she's looking all fine, whatever the case may be, guys looking at her, whatever the case may be. Y'all might want to get pissed off at the dude. Well, to me, that's a compliment. It's when they ain't looking at you, girl, it's probably when, she ain't worth looking at. All right. But a lot of y'all probably want to swear off doing whatever the case may be. Man, don't be looking at my girl or whatever the case may be. Man, I don't care about none of that. All right. All that stuff ain't gonna do nothing but give yourself in trouble. That's all that's gonna do. When they ask me what happened, then he was looking at my girl. How stupid that sound. You going to jail today, brother. Okay. That's right. So don't fall for the foolishness, y'all. Okay. Let's talk about some real stuff. Level, all right, it's written. Okay, you guys are typing up stuff, saying all this crazy stuff on social media, and then of course you have slander, which is spoken. They're talking about it. Yeah, man, Deion Sanders, he ain't really the GOAT, man. You know what I'm saying? He ain't swag. You know what I'm saying? What they saying now? If who ain't swag, if Deion ain't swag. That's what I believe. Now that's the truth. Now that's just my opinion. All right. Now Deion ain't swag. Ain't nobody swag. Okay. His brother just out here doing a lot of good things. But Dr. Lamar Johnson seemed to think different. Dr. Lamar Johnson said that man, Deion, he ain't do right by people. You know what I'm saying? So, these guys are going back and forth. It's just spoken, it's a slander. All right. You can't just slander this guy's name now. But me personally, I think the brother doing good. You know what I'm saying? This brother put the HBCUs that got people coming up there spending money and he's doing a good job, man. You can't do everything, man. You know what I'm saying? Maybe somebody ought to rally with him and say, hey, man, yeah. Snoop, seem like they come. Everybody got Prime. They watching Prime on the series.
The new series he just dropped.
Yeah.
Coach Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I done see the first two.
Anybody else seen him? I think it's pretty decent. What you think? It's all right. It's all right, ain't it? It's on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on
Amazon Prime. You got Amazon. Yeah, it's actually pretty good, if you ask me. But this brother's teaching these people how to be men, and that's always good because a lot of us.
The schools out.
Huh?
He was calling the schools out. Like HBCUs, they'll sell out on a homecoming. How you sell out on a homecoming? I only made $26,000.
Yeah. Deion called him out, man. So I like what he's doing. I really do.
So the fuck.
Yeah.
About that.
And I think that may have had something to do with him making his decision to wind up, leaving there. Deion ain't finna blast him out like that. You ain't gonna see him talking like that there, but he's like, hey, I made a decision to do such and such and such. And then you yourself probably do research to kind of figure out why he may have done that, But hey, brother doing some good stuff, man. I mean, I guaranteed to be probably the best quarterback of all time, I think. I don't know if y'all seen some of his highlights of this brother, but yeah. Ain't nobody been QB.
I'm gonna pick you up and start celebrating at the 50.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody doing that no more like he was, man. And the fact that he was playing multiple professions while he was doing it. Like when you win the Super Bowl, then you go play in the got doggone, go play baseball, they play the series. Come on, man. Ain't nobody doing that. All right. Bo was probably about to do it, but we all know what happened to Bo. Good Samaritan laws, you guys know about it. All right. If you reasonably help other persons, you will not be held liable for errors or omission. All right. Be reasonable. All right. That's the key word, reasonableness. All right. Reasonably. All right. Again, you can't go over there and call yourself doing these interventions Alright, and think you're gonna be held good by the good Samaritan law. You're like, where you get off doing that from? You know, oh man, I'm going to EMT school, you know what I'm saying? You know, no, that ain't gonna help. Good Samaritan conditions to be met, good faith, alright, as Mr. Watson mentioned up earlier, you know, they look at you and say, okay, we trust that, you know, Mr. So-and-so's going his way. He's working for the fire department, he works for the police department, he's supposed to be a good, standing gentleman or female or lady, you know, in that area, right? Without expectation of compensation, right? No, I'm going to work, I'll get paid, alright? But what they're talking about is, you know, hey, man, good job, man, you know what I'm saying? We just want to give you something, alright? Look at this dude right here. You're supposed to be like, nah, no sir, no ma'am, or whatever. This is our job, you know what I'm saying? It's what we get paid to do. It's your tax dollars is what's paying for this, whatever the case may be. Don't be taking money from people when they trying to offer you stuff, alright? Now, what may happen, right? I want to get a clear understanding of this. Maybe you and the fellas decided to go out, the engine gonna stop by, what is it? The salsa place where they eat the chips and salsa, whatever, and get you something to eat, right? And you made good, but then paid for your meal, and be like, oh no, that gentleman over there just took care of your meal. Oh, hey, thanks, sir. You know, you know, you know about that because they done paid for your meal or whatever. You see what I'm saying? I ain't go over there and tell the man, hey man, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what I'm talking about, okay?
No, I can't say I got that work on. Put on my helmet.
That's right. Yeah.
I did.
Scan that, I ain't.
Does that make sense though? Okay, does that make sense what I just said? All right, so, you know, not in that sense, but in the sense where somebody's trying to hand you money and things of that nature, okay? Not expecting compensation within the scope of practice, yes.
So like with East Point, every winter that we go do food delivery and stuff like that, what we did.
Mhm.
So we was passing out, look at food.
Mhm.
So, man, he wasn't on the list, but he was trying to get into the veggies. So I made him up a little bag or whatever. Okay, I give him like $10.
Uh-huh.
It's like, should I have took that or I did right by not saying.
I think he might have did, but. So, no, you're not supposed to take that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no, you're not supposed to do that, man. And I think he knows that, but, you know, just in case he doesn't, no, you're not supposed to. If you
But I'm
would
giving him some time, like, he buying these veggies, he ain't even on the list.
He buying from you.
I ain't buying, I ain't buying.
I can hold something, sure ain't
Right. If he buy, did you buy the vegetables or you given the vegetables to give out?
That's the point.
Yeah, it's very well part of the point. Okay, but yeah, when you guys get this type of thing, you want to definitely make sure that we're not taking up compensation, okay? Within the scope of training, all right? Make sure that, you know, you're doing, like I said earlier, you're doing things that's within your scope of training. Do not act in grossly negligent manner, all right? So that's kind of goes without saying, all right? You want to make sure that you're doing all the stuff that you're supposed to be doing within your scope of practice, and that's not going to be viewed as grossly negligent. Gross negligence conducts that constitute or conducts conduct that constitute willful or reckless disregard. Right? Immunity states applies to the EMS systems that are considered governmental agencies. Sovereign immunity provides limitations on liability, and immunity is not complete. Compile a record of all incidents involving sick or injured persons. Well, that's what you're doing, you know, when you are coming up with these reports. Now, these reports are just not for your, you know, in case it needs to be pulled up in court and so forth, right? What else do these reports are being pulled or these reports are being created for? What do you think? Yeah, not necessarily to protect you per se, but yes, additionally, this is for studies as well. You know, how many, you know, minorities or how many in the urban community are having heart attacks, and how many in the Caucasian, you know, community are, you know, having heart attacks, which is why they say, you know, this is more prevalent in the Black community than it is in the white community and the Asian community, etc. Okay. Just as a side note, I don't recall too many when the COVID hit. None of the Jamaican folks getting this COVID. You know, and I laugh and make that joke or whatever the case may be, not necessarily as a joke, but you know, these folks always eating herbs, they eating all the best herbs and all this kind of stuff. Most of them foods they eat with spices and so forth and so on. Ain't none of my Jamaican friends that I know had COVID. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you all know anybody Well, that is Jamaican, whatever. Yeah, but I didn't hear none of them man, talking about having. Or, that's right. Or, you didn't hear too much of it affecting like that state or whatever. I mean, that country or whatever. I don't recall hearing too much about the Jamaican people, having a mass thing of people dying. Yeah. All right. Important safeguard against legal complications. Courts considers an action not recorded was not performed. That's what we always say. We say wasn't general. If you didn't put it down, it didn't happen. That's right. All right. Incomplete order, untidy reports is evidence of poor emergency medical care. So, all right, you got to be making sure that we're making sure that the reports have some sort of detail to it, that it looks like somebody's professional and they are, writing these reports in a manner to where it's like, okay, well, I can understand that. Now, we talked about this morning just briefly about APA format, right? All right. But at the same time, we know that people generally today, in this day and age, people generally are going to write generally the way that they talk, okay, for the most part. And that's not so bad, all right, but it just has to make sense, okay, because people are just kind of typing or whatever, or jotting things down or whatever, but it has to make sense. You can't have a sentence where you're saying, I went and got to the call, or, engine so-and-so responded to such and such a call, but then you still talking and whatever, and it's just a run-on sentence or whatever the case may be. It's like, oh man, what period at in there? You got to cut that thing off somewhere and start up again, so the person can kind of follow along or whatever. Okay, well, did you mean that over here? Because you got it over here or whatever. You guys have seen the reports or may have seen examples of that. All right, so we just want to make sure that these particular things, excuse me, are making sense to the reader, because guess what? A lot of us will make these type of paragraphs, or excuse me, make these reports, and then when you read it back to yourself, you don't understand it. Why you don't understand it? You the one who wrote the report. All right? Don't let that be one of y'all now, because you may have what I said the other day. You may have a Q&A session where the medical director or the chief comes by and says, hey man, let's look at this report right quick. All right? And then you sitting there and like, hey man, read this report to it. And the worst thing you can do is have that report be told to be read the report, and you can't read your own report back to the people that asked you to read it. All right, that's embarrassing, okay? All right, so we want to try to better ourselves, okay, when we're doing this stuff. Incomplete or I said that. All right, National EMS Information System, all right, provides the ability to collect, store, and share standardized EMS data, all right, used to improve the speed and accuracy of data collections. Most states have a reporting obligation, abuse of children, all right? So these are the things that you gotta know, all right, on what to report and when to report it. You gotta know this, all right? All right, gotta report when there's a suspicion of children. Now let me ask you this question. All right, do you accuse the parent of doing it? No, you can't. All right. Not our job to say that, well, this happened with them. They did that. Yeah, lock them up. No. If Mr. Watt come up on the scene or whatever the case may be, like, hey man, look, this is what we found, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? He gonna look at it, he gonna do his further investigation, whatever it is that he's supposed to do. And if it winds up happening, that there was, some sort of abuse or whatever, well, now we move into another phase of defects and all this other stuff, trying to get some support for those children. All right, elderly, same thing. All right, some people, they babysit or these elderly people, or whatever, and then you seen it on the news report, they dogging them out, shaking them and stuff, because the old person is not being compliant with them or whatever, and they do the children the same way. Okay, if you got any elders or whatever, it behooves you. You got people that are, seeing about them, is to get you a camera system so you can catch them when they're doing wrong, if at all possible. Injuries during commission of a felony. All right. Well, like I said earlier on, like, no, wait a minute. Injury during commission of a felony. Mandatory reporting requirements. Yeah. All right. So this guy, he got caught and, doing some sort of criminal act or whatever the case may be, where you gonna patch him up and say, all right, brother, man, don't do that no more. You know what I'm saying? No, you patch this guy up and say, man, y'all start feeding in this location. All right, this guy right here did such and such and such. All right, you gotta report this guy. All right, joint related injury. Okay. You got people out there doing certain drugs and things of that nature, you're gonna have to report that, okay? Right, be a particular area. That's another reason why you have the data collection, okay? Why are we over here? This is an opioid call. You see what I'm saying? So they start getting data, say this area is getting, filled seemingly with opioid calls, whatever the case may be. The NPD may start doing further investigations or start, patrolling a particular area or trying to figure out why that this particular area is having so many opioids, calls and things of that nature. Childbirth, well, that goes without saying. You can't just let the lady have a baby, like, all right, you good, now go ahead and cut that cord, good luck with that child or whatever. No, you gotta get them to the hospital to do some further, things for the mother and that child, okay? Most states have report application continue, attempts of suicide, okay? Yeah, you gotta report that, all right? Can't be like, you good now, brother? Yeah, man, I just needed a moment. I sign right here. No, you know what I'm saying? You got to report that. Okay? Dog bites. Why do you think I report these dog bites? They have dog bites.
Because it could continue to happen. Dog
That-
might still be in the area.
That's right. That and what else? What else somebody says? I have rabies or something, right? You get this dog off the street, might get additional resources involved, animal control, PD, right? These things are detrimental to the community, okay? This dog is still on the loose, and somebody, we got to get somebody to get this thing, man, all right? Well, he mess around and do it again to somebody else. Communicable diseases, all right? Hey, man, you gotta report that, you know what I'm saying? In many cases. Assault, obviously, you don't want to be holding nobody against their will and things of that nature, or definitely battery. So you got to report those things. Somebody, gets on the scene, and first thing is, yeah, well, he hit me, or whatever the case may be. Uh-oh, you going to jail today, buddy. You know what I'm saying? It's a good possibility you may be going to jail or whatever. Now, I will say I have seen this here, and this is mostly, I'm thinking, because of the younger members that I'm seeing on the department, or maybe it's fire, whether it's PD, or whatever the case may be. Seems like there's a good bit of things that are going on. Sometimes the guys just don't, what's going on, they sometimes seem like they want to find a bigger picture or whatever, depending on how bad it is. But usually they're supposed to, it's supposed to be a report follow up with those things, those type of calls and so forth. But again, all I'm saying is because of my experience with the guy, at the call or whatever, who didn't want to go inside the building or whatever, and he specifically told us, I ain't going in there, like, what are you talking about? Right? And luckily, again, for us, the captain bladder was overfilled, so we didn't take out the house fast enough. He like, hold on, man, I gotta go pee, this is like 2 o'clock in the morning, he's sleeping over there. First thing he gonna do is go use the bathroom. So he go use the bathroom, and we jump on the truck, and we drive off. Well, luckily for us, that, the guy was already gone, shot the window out with the 12 gauge, and they caught it all on camera. We got there a little sooner, and he probably would have hit us with it. I ain't trying to set that building on fire. Hey, man, I'm just telling y'all, and this is why I'm telling y'all, because he on the job, he probably see it more just about as much as we do, or whatever the case may be. You can't fix crazy, y'all. Just can't. I said it before, I'm saying it, you just can't fix crazy. You gotta try to figure out how to deal with this person so you can get past the moment. Okay? Domestic violence, right? Run a lot of these calls a lot of times. You're gonna got cracked across the head. All right? Tag call, I told y'all about that call the other day, or a week or two ago. You were talking to all that noise. Hey, anybody come in? The girl done got away. You were here, Mr. Miller. Girl done got away, or whatever. That was tag call, he done confused. He done said, nah, he finna doggone kill somebody. Anybody come to that door, I'm blasting your head off. Smart boy don't care about none of that stuff, man. You ever sit that doggone smoke bomb in there, man? That don't came out crying. You know what I'm saying? The whole scene was all over. He on his hand crying, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes he's supposed to be talking, man. You know what I'm saying? You know the crazy ones, but they ready to die. You know what I'm saying? You know them. All right? This dude here, he just talking. He done beat that girl up now. He want to act like, he going to jail. No, you going to jail today, brother. You going to die one. Okay? So, know your people out there. Sexual assault, or rape. Now that's all right. Here's a good one. All right. The fact that I say it's a good one is because we have a lot of people, or a lot of rape victims out here. When you get on the scene, they may not want to be touched. All right, because of the traumatic experience that they just had from whoever it was. They made it. How do you deal with that patient? How do you deal with it?
You talk to them about everything that you're going to do before you actually do it.
Okay, isolation, reassuring. What do you say, Ms. Simmons? Again, repeat that.
You tell them what you're doing before you even do it, and you explain to them.
Okay, good. What else?
Don't say the R word.
Yeah, yep. Don't say the R word. What else? Mr. Foley, you got any ideas on what you could do? Oh, yeah, Ms. Simmons said that. She mentioned that. What did you say? Somebody just said something?
Get female assistance.
Yeah.
Y'all said it, but he.
Trying to steal your thunder. No, you're exactly right, though. Yeah. You may want to try to get some female there, another female officer or another female EMT or whatever the case may be, right? What you about to say, Mr. Miller?
Man, everybody said I ought to do it. But I'm gonna say, I don't know, like, if they got a family member, could they be right there, like?
Yeah, that may be something else, another tool in the box that you may can use. They may feel more comfortable with that family member and wanting to talk to them or whatever the case may be, or to have them there for some sort of support, right? Good, that's good, Mr. Miller.
Talk to her like, make like this.
Yeah, you want to be talking to them, we're trying to definitely talk to them in definitely most non-confrontational, most non-aggressive manner, like, don't be like, shut up, look, you know what I'm saying? You can't be around here doggone this, you shouldn't be out here anyway, what you doing over here in this area? Okay, so you can't be talking to them like that, right? You know, it's like, you gotta try to you gotta chill out, man, this is very sensitive, and she may be traumatized for the rest of her life because of that experience, okay? And it's our job to try to make sure that we handle that as best we can. Okay. Sexual assault, exposure to infectious disease, all right, any type of exposures, all right, fire department, police, all right, even the lay person or whatever, all right, you've been exposed to a particular something, you're gonna have to report that. You gotta report that to your supervisor. Hey man, I think we got exposure over here. You might be feeling fine, but what about later though, right? That's right. Now you ain't reported. Now you trying to go on IOJ, and they're gonna be like, well, when did this happen? Well, the other day or a couple of shifts ago, we was exposed to such and such. Why you didn't report it? See, now they're gonna be looking at you because these IOJ people on the job, they be already don't want to do stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because they think people be just shucking the jiving, right? Frauds will be reporting stuff or whatever, so they can get paid and not have to work or whatever the case may be. No, you gotta report this stuff. All right. Transport of patients and restraint. We talked about that a little bit. Scene of a crime and the deceased. Okay, all these things you gotta report. All right, don't be like one of my officers who I had years ago get up on the scene down in Buckhead, and we got the call as maybe some sort of domestic dispute or whatever the case may be. So blood in the house or whatever the case may be, girl outside or whatever, and we don't see the perp or whatever. Which obviously we should have, at that time should have had the scene safe any doggone way. But I don't know what happened that day. What happened? It's just been so long ago. That was years ago. I probably was about on the job probably about 3 years. This joker done picked up the gun and put it off to the side. And I was like, what the hell supposed to be doing there? You know, make sure that nobody mess around and grab it or whatever the case may be. Like, yeah, exactly. Well, you know that now, just being in class or whatever it can be. Not Lieutenant Joe. Lieutenant Joe, I ain't gonna call his last name. Not Joe. Joe, Joe or something else. Needless to say, Joe had got fired. But not for that. He didn't get fired for that. Yeah, he didn't get fired for that. You know why he got fired? He got fired and told a woman, hey, we gonna call on a woman house, whatever came and told a woman, you need to get these children here some new shoes, all these doggone messed up shit. Tell the woman how to doggone do to her children and stuff and what they had in the house. Yeah, that's Joe. Yeah. I guarantee you, just by know it, y'all probably gonna know it. If you don't know it already, y'all gonna see it. You got one on every job. Every job, you like, no, he didn't say that. Well, no, he didn't just do that. It's one on every job, maybe a couple of them. Somehow they just slip through the cracks. Slip through the cracks. And, I'm just saying, farming need the numbers. We got to, mayor says this. We gotta have the numbers. So the community is saying they want, why we ain't got nobody running these calls over here? We ain't got enough people. They don't want to hear that. So we let a few in, and they'll eventually probably wind up getting this fire department or something like that. Hey, I'm just telling y'all the truth. All right. Alright. Alright, ethics, alright, philosophy, of right and wrong, moral duty, alright, and ideal professional behavior, morality, conduct, or excuse me, code of conduct affecting character, conducts of conscience, bioethics, specifically address issues that arise in the practice of healthcare, okay? All these things are, you know, ethical responsibilities, okay? Some of them just, it's just what it is. You're required to evaluate and apply ethical standards, your own, those of the profession, okay? Allow rules, laws, and policies to guide your decision making, okay? And all your decisions are gonna be right, all everything's gonna be right every time you do something. It's just not, okay? But the citizens, the state, all right, and your loved ones, all right, don't forget them, all right? So everybody is believing and hoping that you would act accordingly based on your job description, all right, and try to do the right thing, all right? Don't have your mom or your auntie or your wife on the news like, I don't understand why he did that, 'Cause you'll see it, you just lost it. And you couldn't do it no more, whatever the case may be. You'll see things like that from time to time. Sometimes you just don't understand it. Sometimes the officer, they'll get a call and so forth, and nobody has a rhyme or reason why the person may have did what they did. Right? No history of violence. Stellar employee, graduated, summa cum laude. All right. Yeah, yeah. I used to think that was a church song. All right. No rhyme or reason on why a person did it. But that was the case because hey, what it was. You know what I'm saying? You can't fix crazy. That's right. That's right. That's what fathers do say that. Now, some things you just won't understand. All right. You just have to accept that. You can end up in court. We know that, right? Who would have thought that Floyd, brother Floyd, is it Floyd? Floyd. Is it Floyd? Yeah. Yeah. George Floyd. Yeah, George Floyd. WMTs would probably that morning when they got up to go to work did not think that several months later or whatever it was, they were going to wind up in court on something such as this brother getting killed. Okay. Well, now they got to start thinking about everything that they do, Now, the thing is, how do you address that? Because the officers doing supposedly what they think they're doing, right? You got to be able to, as the EMT, as the professional, hey, brother, you might well, Now, we've done that on calls where we've seen officers like, hey, brother, ease up a little bit, all right? Put him on, get him in the cuffs, you know what I'm saying, or whatever case you get him in the cuffs, whatever you need to do, but ease up on him a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Simply because now, after this particular thing we've now seen, it's like, okay, now you feel like more so now as the EMT professional, hey, bro, take, taking the officer's neck, you see what I'm saying? He gagging or he's spitting up, whatever case it may be, you know what I'm saying? You can't be standing there, right? Just sitting there watching it and not try to intervene some type of way if it's doing what? Harm to the patient. Okay? If the brother's in the what's the name? If he's in the cuffs, ain't but so much that he's probably gonna be able to do. Or if he got his tie his legs up or something, but don't have your hands and your things on the brother's neck to where now I gotta be sitting in court trying to defend myself when, hey man, I'm just there to help the brother, you know what I'm saying? Why am I in here? Well, like I said, you could be pulled in as well. Okay, you are a part of the system now, all right, or will be part of the system. So again, act accordingly, all right?
At some point down the road, it's gonna be required that everybody, like police, fire rescue, wear body cams.
Yeah.
I really feel like
it probably will be.
I really feel like it.
Yeah.
And then like dash cams and all that stuff in the fire truck, I really feel like these things are going away with how much stuff happens.
Yeah, for sure. I would not doubt that at all. It's just society, unfortunately, that we're in today, right? Everybody needs to make sure that, fire personnel is doing what they're supposed to do. PD is doing what they're supposed to do, right? And so, that's good, if it's done the right way and, we're doing it for the justification of making sure that, you know, people are doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. But, you know, a lot of times, you know, I get pissed off, you know what I'm saying? Because here's my thing, all right? This is for PD, APD, and whoever else. Yeah, you see this stuff, right? Mr. Watts might be cool to death, all right? But there's some joker that's on that job that got on that job for, you know, because mom, you know, he was pacified or whatever the case may be, or whatever the case, they have him there. So my thing is, you see this stuff happening, but you still acting a fool when I'm joking, say, hey man, lay down. When they say, hey man, I told you 2 or 3 times, hey man, on your back, on your stomach, or whatever it is that they're telling you to do. Hey man, save that crap for the courtroom. Don't go to be sitting up there jumping around and this, that, and the other. Because you may get your ass shot on. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, you see it there, right? But the brothers and sisters, for some reason, always got to push the envelope. Hey man, this brother is an officer of the law. Hey, I don't care if he said whatever he said, man, take that jump to court if you think you need to. Other than that, comply with the man saying, okay? Because whoever it is, you know, may not be cool like Mr. White. Maybe they don't trigger happen joker who just, you know, he just got it in for you know, because the color or whatever the case may be, he don't like it. You're tall, you're short. You know, he couldn't get the women when you know all the tall guys got all the good women to wear. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. All right, so just comply. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's another thing in our community where we need to be teaching our children. All right, son, don't go to running your mouth. All right, whatever the man say, just listen to him. Okay. Because we'll be out there doing it. Next thing you know, Ray or whoever it is, you know, be going to his funeral. All right. That time. Okay. I'm just saying this is some real stuff, guys. And then whenever called to testify, notify your service director, legal counsel. Okay. Don't be in there trying to represent yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, I got my own. I'm representing myself, Judge. All right. You messing up. All right, you are messing up. Only you know you trying to.
I said that's why you in court now.
Hey, huh? Hey, brother, you better get somebody besides yourself, because you don't know the law like that, like you think you do. You know.
You ain't see the man trying to represent himself.
Yeah.
I heard something. What happened there, brother?
He murdered. He had like 3 murders for some kids and all kind of stuff.
Okay.
And he got court said.
I think he was trying to.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to get that.
I'm not doing it.
Really? Okay, so how did it turn out for him? And took like Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy. Right. I'm sorry?
I think he was trying to get the insanity plea or something like that, going up to acting crazy.
Oh, that's what he tried to do. Man, them folks know if you're crazy or not. Yeah, them people know. They got people who you know what I'm saying, who is skilled in understanding a crazy person and their actions and so forth and so on. You go in there playing that role, and like,
You gotta go in there and poo-poo in your hand and throw it in the like that. For that one, but it didn't work well.
and that might not work. You know? That's right, exactly. Okay, that's right. Okay, so yeah, don't go in there doing those type of things or whatever. You know, if you got children or whatever the case may be, you know, don't have them talking all the time. The officer saying that you know you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used. He's telling you, shut your mouth, right? But guess what though, y'all, we won't be quiet because we think we're in the right. No, you know, boss. Okay, keep running your mouth then. Keep talking. Man just told you have the right to remain silent. We'll still keep talking, boy. Won't we? We'll keep talking, boy, when we ain't even got to say nothing. Okay? I'm just saying. Hey, the brother trying to tell you, you know, because they'll say certain things to get you to talk. You know what I'm saying? You know, hey man, did you let down your window before? Did you let down your window? Yeah, all right. You let down the window. You know, it went all the way down. You know, there's certain things that you know you don't have to do or whatever the case may be. You know, give them your license or whatever, give them your registration, whatever the case may be. You know, it might be entertained and so forth. All of the things. Man, you got all the stuff, right? Just have to know what it is that you can and can't do. Don't be out there talking crazy to them and disrespecting them, and you know that's just gonna get you drugged. Okay? I'm just saying. All right, a witness remain neutral, okay? All right, please sit up there throwing in your opinion or whatever the case may be, man, just remain neutral. Even when you're on the job, whatever the case may be, right? Got officers are saying, well, this person is so and so and so, and this person is da 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 da. Well, you can't determine that off of what it is that they're saying. So you need to be what? You need to be neutral, right? Don't say nothing or whatever the case may be, all right? These are gems or whatever, right? Because we all have some time left on the job, all right? And I told you guys a lot of times, especially on the fire department, because we run there cackling like a bunch of hens sometimes, right? Being on there 24 hours, so what's the name? I was gonna say it so-and-so about such and such and such. Next thing you know, you mad at him. You don't even know why you're mad at him, all right? But then because everybody talking about it, all right? No, you try to remain neutral, try to, let that person do something to you. Hey, man, I ain't got no problem with it. He never did nothing to me. All right. Classic case said what he said. When he was going to they tried to pull him in to go to the war. They ain't never done nothing to me. I ain't never had no problem with them vehicle cars. All right. He said, y'all vice president when I want equality and so forth. He got this man trying to fight these people, man. All right. All right. Review run report before court. All right. Surely you need to know to do that. All right, don't go in court if you've been called to court. You ain't looked at your report. You know what I'm saying? And that call happened a year ago. All right, man, let me see that call, man. I can't remember that call. Yeah, review the call so you can take a look at it and see what may have happened to jog your memory because it's been so long ago. As a defendant, an attorney is required. Defense may include statute of limitations, all right? Governmental immunity, contributory negligence, things that you've been negligent for, things that you cause possible negligence as well. The discovery allows both sides to obtain more information through interrogatories. Thank you, sir. Written requests, all right, or questions, all right, dispositions, oral requests, or questions, all right. Most cases are settled following the discovery phase during the settlement phase, all right. Usually this is most times people settle. Now, the settlement means that the person, was guilty, the other person was guilty. No, it doesn't mean that. All right. This means that, maybe the other person just, if I ain't got tired of this here. Just, I got enough money, just pay him off. Give. That's right. Give with that. All right. And some people seem to think that might what happened to Mike, whatever the case may be. Man, you know what? Just settle. All right. I have a case, with the company or whatever, right? Or had a case or whatever. Right, and so these people are saying that, but my EMS company said that, hey, yeah, your people, they dropped this patient. Yeah, they dropped the patient. So the lawyer's calling me. I'm like, man, I didn't have the company at the time. I bought these, these people out or whatever who I was partners with or whatever, and they had the company then. Well, you got the company now, so it falls on you or whatever. Okay, well, what happened? Do the investigation. They do the investigation and they interviewed the people and the people who was involved, and the people said that, well, yeah, that they didn't drop it. They almost dropped it is what I said. That's what the people were saying. That's what I said. They almost dropped it. Okay, cool. So they didn't drop it. Okay. Well, the family said that, what y'all did or whatever, or you almost dropped it and caused them to lose their life. What? This person's a dialysis patient. Dialysis patients die all the time. Why do they die? You guys will find out when we start doing, pathophysiology and things of that nature, why these people sometimes succumb to their not being able to, filter out their fluids or whatever the case may be, right? Certain organs will start shutting down and so forth and so on. So how does that play a part in them almost dropping them on the stretcher? It don't. Well, guess what? Because of the insurance, right? And because of how much it costs, we tied everything up and tied everybody up. Insurance company's like, man, just pay them. Just give them, don't give them what they asked for. But if they ask them for 400,000, off them 50 or whatever, initially. Because now you got to go through mediation and things of that nature, right? And so once you do that a couple of times, you might wind up paying them $150,000, which in actuality, the family probably already know that's, what they was trying to get anyway, right? Well, what's that? That to me, that pisses me off. I'm like, well, we didn't do nothing. It's just the way the game go, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way the game goes. Now, each got an extra $150,000 and the company do it. But guess what? That's the insurance game. All right? They know you can go after the insurance or whatever the case may be, and you're probably going to get something out the deal because they family supposedly is dead or whatever the case may be. It has nothing to do with you possibly dropping them or almost dropping them, you know? And the people told him, you know, they didn't drop them. They just, it was coming off the stretch or whatever, and they kind of leaned or whatever, like, oh, you know, and they kind of got hold of it or whatever, you know? But they tried, the person had lost a limb because why? They diabetic, you know, so they lost a limb or whatever, right? Kidney shut down. Well, they on dialysis. The kidneys don't work, right? So one thing usually leads to another over time, but they try to blame that on the company, on my company. All right. So got to do a settlement. If not settled, the case goes to trial. And that's the big thing. You might want to spend all that money going to trial. Just give them $150,000. But they asked them for 400. But they ain't getting 400. Give them 150. They might say, all right, we'll take it. They ain't trying to get that anyway. Right? Damages that may be awarded, compensatory damages, punitive damages. Okay. EMT charged with criminal offense should secure the services of a highly experienced criminal attorney immediately. Immediately. All right. Well, department and things of that nature, you may have to get one personally, you know what I'm saying, depending on what is happening, what is transpiring, okay? You may have to wind up getting your own personal attorney. You know, these people, to me, I don't know, right? Sometimes I think they all in cahoots with each other. You know what I'm saying? This person knows that person and so forth and so on, and, you know,
You sit in the courtroom there when I shake your hand like, man, ain't you my son?
right. Yeah, nobody. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking that. I don't say that because my stepbrother or surrogate brother, you know, he going through this little divorce or whatever, and you know, they want to taking money from him and his supposedly ex-wife or whatever, and nothing ever came out of it. He just wanted to keep spending money or whatever, and they didn't. It just wasn't never settled the way that they both wound up thinking it and thought it should be. Like, what the hell's going on here or whatever? And it seems like they was just kind of siphoning money. I don't know. I haven't heard from ladies on it, so I don't know what the end result was. But based on how it was going on, you know, he was like, man, every time I turn around, she asking for more money. Like we didn't even finish the last situation we were talking about. All right. So one and done. Okay, cool. Any questions about what we covered today? You do? Yeah. What you got? Cause
Okay, so you know how you said like
listen up, guys. Listen up. Somebody got a question on the floor. Yes, ma'am.
you said you know how you said AO report, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we come on the scene, are we supposed to ask them that initially? Or
No. All right. So, question is, if you come up on the scene and the person, you questioning whether they're alert, oriented, conscious, and all that good stuff. No, as you're walking the scene, you generally are taking a general impression of that particular patient, right? All right. But the O times 4, are they alert, conscious to person, place, time, or date? You have to necessarily do that immediately. As you're walking up to the patient, you can start to ask them, hey, what's going on, whatever the case may be, and let them tell you, what's going on with them. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that immediately or whatever. If things seem like if they're coming off as they are altered or whatever, then you may want to ask that question or whatever. That, depending on what they say to you initially will dictate whether you need to start investigating if they are there mentally at all. But usually as you asking them, hey, what's going on today? Well, you probably know right off the rip that, something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? This joker talking about the moon and the constellations or whatever. And I got called here for a chest pain call. You see what I'm saying? Okay, does that make sense? All right. Any other questions? All right. Let's see here. We're gonna look at this here and pose y'all out here. All right. So y'all say, see, what is it? What is it? Arrive the scene of older woman complain of chest pain. In assessing her, she holds her arm out. You take a blood pressure. Yes, we talked about it. You guys said C, right?
Yes,
sir. Good job. Express consent is the answer. Good, good, good. Okay. All right. Which of the following is an example of abandonment?
D.
D as in Delta?
Yes.
An AEMT transfer care of a patient to an EMR. Man, y'all might be on the stuff. All right. D Delta is correct. All right. Why is that incorrect? Because
He lowered it.
that's right. He's a lot less, he's a less than the, AEMT. Okay, no meaning, he can't never go down, you gotta go either equally or up. Good job. All right. The unauthorized confinement of a person is called
False imprisonment.
false imprisonment. Good job. Failure of an EMT to provide the same care as another EMT with the same training is called. Good job. See, negligent. All right, good job. You guys are tracking real good. An 8-year-old boy was struck by a car, is unconscious, and is bleeding from the mouth. The police officer tells you that he is unable to contact the child's parent. You should do what? Continue treatment that the child be transported as soon as possible. Why?
Yeah,
That's right, Mr. White.
emancipated mind.
Hmm?
Because he's not an emancipated mind.
Okay, we'll take that too. That's right. Especially 8 years old. I hope not. Good job. The advanced directive is
See.
C, a written document that specifies the care you should provide if the patient is unable to make decisions. Amen. Y'all on it. Y'all on it. Amen. Sean feel like this AC is on. Feel like a wind is coming through the glass. I heard it. Yeah, it's like you hear it, right?
I'm feeling it, I don't hear it.
Right. Okay.
Might be too sick for class tomorrow.
Hey, you might be, but that's all right, though, that work still need to be getting done some kind of way. All right, which of the following patients is competent and can legally refuse EMS care?
See.
C, good job, a conscious and alert woman who is in severe pain from a broken leg. Good. Steve Harvey, what's the name, hitting the buzzer before we even get the answer? Alright, you're a treatment patient with an apparent emotional crisis. After the patient refuses treatment, you tell him that you will call the police and have him restrained if he does not give you consent. Your actions in this case are, you said what?
Assault. A.
Today?
Yeah, it's assault.
Alright. A is correct. Unlawfully placing a person in fear of immediate bodily harm, having him restrained. I mean, I'm about to restrain you, okay? Is without his consent constitute assault. Good job, guys. Good job. The EMT has a legal duty to act if he or she is
B.
B.
Yes.
Bravo. A volunteer is on duty and is dispatched on a call. Good job. The EMT has. Oops. That was previous answer. Okay. 10. Which of the following statements about records and reports is false?
D.
D. Your patient care report does not become a part of the patient's hospital record because your treatment was provided outside the hospital. D is correct. The statement, your patient care report does not become a part of the patient's hospital record because your treatment was provided outside the hospital. It's incorrect. Patient care, does in fact become a permanent part of the patient's hospital records. Any questions about any of that?
Sir.
All right, good. All right. Lastly. Please.
Hey, Ellis.
Easy money.
So, have them.
I'm saying, go on.
$50. All right, now that's just, no.
See?
You trying it anyway, so you're gonna try it anyway. I'm saying it's free, you gonna try it anyway. You might as well give it.
House on top of that.
I'm already in trouble, man.
No radiator, no timing belt, no nothing.
All right. So as long as we get tomorrow, I should be here as well. I may sit back and let Ms. Long, you know, give the instructions of the class. All right, I'll probably call her later on to see, I think she's on shift today. All right, so she's probably gonna come through the door. I am repeating this here simply, you go ahead and stop that as well, back in the back. Section. Thank you so much, guys.